This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Emotions are like the weather. They come and go whether you're prepared for them or not. And unless it's a perfect 70 and sunny, you need tools to live comfortably in all the elements. Build those tools in therapy at betterhelp.com/allies.
Hello, welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm Daniel Bloodworth, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. This week I'm joined by Brad Ellis.
Hello.
Michael Damiani.
How's it going?
Huber's out this week, as are some other folks, but making it all happen in the control room, Isla Hink.
Lonely. I'm so lonely in here. There's nobody else in here. Hi.
Quick PSA. We're also going to have people out next week, so we're going to shoot later. We're going to be shooting on Friday next week. So if you're going to be watching that Twitch podcast, or if you're going to be getting on that early access, it will be coming later in the week. Just FYI. Public episode will still go up at the usual time on Sunday, though. Friends, we are here to talk about the biggest headlines in video games this week. I did not expect to have a Nintendo-focused episode. Didn't even know there was a direct gonna happen. But what's what we got now? We have a Shadow Dropped remake for one of the best games of all time.
Remastered.
Either way. We'll get into that, I guess.
That'll be a correction.
It's called a remaster.
I know.
Other people are saying other things, just definitions that don't exist. Game Boy and GBA games are starting to come to Switch. We got a peek at that Zelda that has just left us with more questions than ever, probably. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo also put out their quarterly financials before all that happened. But before we get started, we must answer for the mistakes we made in last week's episode. Isla, begin corrections music, please.
Boop.
Not even really a correction. Last week, Huber was trying to remember which Arkham game removed the counter icons for New Game Plus.
Okay.
Apparently, in Arkham Asylum, hard mode is available right from the start and removes the counter icons. Then, and there's no New Game Plus option in the first game.
Okay.
Then, in Arkham City Forward, New Game Plus removes the counter icons, but regular hard mode still has them.
Got it. Okay. Nice.
And if you have a correction, leave it in the YouTube comments on either the public version or the Patreon version of this episode. Start with the word correction so I can find it, and leave a timestamp so I know what the heck we're talking about. End corrections music.
Boop. Light week.
Light week, yeah.
Oh,
You guys don't
God,
make any
don't
mistakes
jinx it.
when I'm not here. Yeah.
First off, we're going to talk about that Shadow Drop there. Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yes.
Basically out of nowhere. There were rumors.
But it's like we
For
always
like
hear
a long time ago, there were rumors.
We always hear Nintendo rumors.
The facts are, it took us a while actually to kind of confirm, but it is developed internally by Retro Studios.
Oh.
Not necessarily, because staff has changed over 20 years, but
Sure, yeah.
same studio. It has, what's that?
I think Iron Galaxy also contributed.
Oh, did
apparently.
they?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I was tweeting that out today.
Okay.
They assisted in some capacity.
Yeah.
which is
Okay,
kinda
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw people that had worked on Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze
Yeah.
and stuff like
Sick.
that. Were on this. And
Good game. Good job.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like it was like a completely outsourced project or anything.
Right.
It was Eternal with assistance, which is pretty cool.
yeah. And the reason for the remaster or remake debate is because this has improved textures and the models are drastically different and the lighting is drastically different and they've worked on the audio. It's got true 5.1 support.
Yeah.
Which is very noticeable, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think they did ProLogic 2 on the original. So they did what they could at the time.
But I guess my argument is they didn't build the game from the ground up, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
So.
The Yeah, the way I would say it is like the skeletons are there, and then they
Yes,
kind of built off of the skeletons.
Yeah, they did like new textures, like you
But
said.
like if you look at like even the modeling on Samus, there's way more detail. Like you look at the old model, and it's like chunk.
I saw an argument online that for it being just called a remaster because apparently someone was claiming the source code is barely touched on it. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that's like
okay.
generally
That can
like
make
a
it
Camera movements
that's
all
like a
seem to match up and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Like, I guess software engineers, developers kind of use that as like a metric for whether you call it remaster, remake, is how much of like, as you said, the backbone is like changed there.
But I know
But
even
the
like
graphic assets are completely new.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if they even like necessarily agree with that. So yeah.
right. Well, I know even when people have done interviews with Bluepoint, that like even internally at Bluepoint, like it's like they try to define these things and like their own definitions.
Yeah, it's a
kind of
messy
shift
thing
around.
for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I've looked at some side by sides and just because it's one of those things where you look at it just on its own and it seems like, oh yeah, this seems about right. It just seems like higher res or whatever. And then no, you actually look at the two next to each other. It's like they did a
Dramatically
lot.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. But the same layouts, the same maps, all that stuff. I saw somebody just before we started shooting compare it to Halo Anniversary.
Oh.
And I think that's a really good comparison. Like, it doesn't have the swap back and forth mechanic to where you could see them side by side in game, but I think that's a really, really good one to go with.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think another close one is probably like Last of Us Part 1.
Sure.
Because it's like, even though they did like rebuild that game in a lot of ways, they also still like
Still a lot of the same
stuck
stuff
to the way it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something you need to play and see on your own. You know, watching the direct, like even we could tell there was a difference, but like you couldn't quite tell how much of a difference. And then, even watching trailers, but like we played, over an hour of it, or you watched me play over an hour of it.
Yeah, I played more last night
and
too.
Then so you played some of it,
Yeah,
and it's
because
like,
when it comes to comparisons, like I want to see something on my own monitor, rather than
definitely.
under all the lights and everything.
Definitely.
and it's very, very clear. A lot of work went into it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the new the control scheme, the modern controls.
Yeah.
Dual stick. Very, very much appreciate that.
Well, what I appreciate about it is because I was a little bit worried about, whether the kind of feel of the game would sort of be lost in some way or not. But it still has the lock on. It still has the like kind of dash strafe thing and all of that in there. You can some of the things you can use either the face buttons or the shoulder buttons. Like they've mapped it to both. So it feels very natural to hop into.
Yeah, I just like being able to turn and move faster normally. And then like when you lock on, it then plays. It has all the functionality you would expect to be there. So that feels very authentic. It's just turning so smoothly like that. This is very nice. And the snap lock on, if you leave that on, is very, arguably makes it easier to play possibly, but I was still having a great time with it. And especially for people who've played it so many times, I don't think that's really what you're looking more for, like, new things, like something that you've played it so long the way it was meant to be played, that giving you something new is kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah. But they do have the classic.
Yes.
I've heard, I haven't confirmed, but I heard that it supports the GameCube controller adapter.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. I have that. I'll have to try that.
It also supports the motion aiming, although with the Joy-Cons, it's not going to be quite as tight as the infrared on the Wii.
Yeah, I saw someone posting a video of them holding their Joy-Con with the TV screen in the frame, and it looked slightly delayed. Like, it wasn't exactly 1-to-1, so... But, I mean, it's sort of there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they tried.
Yeah.
Also, very nice, running 60 frames per second with, like, no dips detected.
That is good.
So
Really good.
Yeah.
Really nice.
You don't get to say that on the Switch very often.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bloodworth. It is interesting that it's just the first game, because we were all kind of assuming it would be 3 games, even if it's just like up-res versions because of 4 coming out, but it's like...
Well, and because on the Wii, they released the trilogy
Exactly. Yeah,
after
exactly.
3.
Yeah, so it's like surprising, but still, I'm like, hey, still cool to get that game. It looks very nice.
Well, like we always say, the Nintendo monkey's paw, right? They'll give you what you want, but not how you want it.
That's true.
This one makes the most sense, and I'll take it over it being like some other weird thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Now they can milk each one for $40 a piece.
But I mean, that's my question is, do we think that now that they've kind of built up this pipeline and this engine and a lot of these assets that could probably be transferred over. I mean, obviously the other games are pretty different places. Would they continue and just like make the lead up so that people can access all three on the Switch?
Yeah, I just it depends on when 4 comes out, and like that's a lot of work. I feel like to do 3 games, probably with the amount of effort they've done. And I don't know how many people worked on this game. I'm not sure, and maybe they'd be worried about burnout of playing people like waiting, then getting a Prime game, then waiting, getting another Prime game, or unless they do 2 and 3 just later after 4 comes out or something. But it all depends to me when 4 actually comes out.
Right.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think this is it. Obviously, yeah, they had the things in place they want to. Just what Brad said, don't know how long this really took. Obviously, it's been rumored for a long time, but who knows if that was actually being worked on. And then we've heard that this was possibly Retro was already working on it, like a passion thing. Like the original story was that this is what they were doing to prove back to Nintendo, like we could still handle Metroid Prime, like hand Prime 4 over to us if it's having difficulty in development. But who knows if any of that ended up being true and can really date when they started working on it. So I'm inclined to think that this is the big one. And this is the one that earned all the accolades. This is the one that turned everyone's head and said, "Oh, Nintendo can still do an F." They called this what was it? A first-person adventure game or something? Yeah. They're weird, but it's FPS. It's a first-person.
No, I mean I back that definition.
You still shoot. I mean,
you still shoot.
You have other stuff you do, but that's the core mechanic. I mean, with extra things on it. But it displayed a competent FPS game for that time.
Yeah.
And it had 2 good sequels to follow up. It's a bummer that they might be gated to Wii and no further the trilogy, but I think it's more important to have one continue on forward because that probably to me is the best in the series and the most iconic and the one everyone gets the most excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to do any of them, one's the first one to do for sure.
Yeah.
They could maybe just do 2 and 3 later down the line, just not as fancy, I guess, amount of work they put in it. They could just upscale it, I guess.
Right.
And get it to work
I mean,
with the
that's
controller.
The thing too, is if, because that's basically what they did with 1 and 2 on the Wii. Is okay, we've got 3 ready. Now we'll just we'll take the control systems from 3 and we'll, put them back, into 1 and 2. So I could potentially see that they release another trilogy, only now 1 is the good one and 2 and 3 is just the ports.
Yeah, because I feel like 2 would be similar type effort. It's 3 that's the ones that take more work because
motion controls.
It's there is a motion control solution, but you need to Skyward Sword HD. You have to make a traditional control solution for something that was originally had no traditional control solution.
But there's only a few things in 3 that I think really are motion dependent, the grabbing.
Yeah.
That's probably the hardest thing.
If they could do Skyward Sword, they can do anything at this point.
That's true, yeah.
So it's just, again, what Brad's point earlier
a lot of the other is just you had free aim. Yeah.
How long will either of these technically take? How long did this one take? How much time do they take? How much of their resources they use? And are they just tied up in finishing up Metroid Prime 4? And after that comes out, do they want them to work on these maybe afterwards, or would they rather them work on a different project? Because it seems that, well, yes, they did work on a trilogy originally. I wonder if Nintendo is just more adept to saying oh, great effort on this, but we have another idea for another project. And then there were those original, all those new reports that came out about older Retro, how they wanted to stop working on Metroid Prime, all those game projects that got canceled.
Oh, sure.
So they could be they did this, they do 4, and the current staff are we just want to work on something else now too. We did this for you. Could we work on something else? So I don't want to see that happen again either. So whatever they want to work on after, if it is more ports, if they really are passionate about that, that's great. If we get all 3 of those, if they want to move on to something else after 4, that's perfectly fine with me. Retro is just, every iteration of Retro so far has just shown themselves to be more than capable and deserving. So I'd like them to have those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of leads into one of the other things I was wondering is, does this, now that you've seen it, does this sort of ease any kind of fears or doubts? Were you concerned about where Metroid Prime 4 might be, considering how long it's been since they took it over and all that?
So, yeah, this is not meant to be negative, but this doesn't really do anything in regards to my confidence about Metroid 4, good or bad.
Okay.
This is something that already had a blueprint exist, and you just had to improve it without altering too much to make it bad. And considering it was done in house, like kind of was expected. Like it's a great effort, but that was kind of what needed to be done. I have no idea what they're doing with Metroid Prime 4, and my expectation is something a little bit new and modern compared to anything we saw in the original trilogy. So the original game doesn't really show anything. It does convince me that they're dedicated, that they're going to try their best. Like I'm convinced that this is getting all the attention and resources it needs. So I'm confident on that end. In that regard, take the time you need. But I need to see something first before I could really even begin to answer that question. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because what was the last game they had actually come out was Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
That was many, many years ago still. So it's been a while.
But it's Tropical Freeze.
It's Tropical Freeze. Incredible game. One of the greats. But, it's been 6 years or something like that?
Yeah,
7 years? It's been a long time.
And just to be small devil's advocate to
Yes.
that, it's totally possible they were working on other projects that got
sure.
canceled or something. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not like their
I'm
projects.
sure they were.
Yeah.
There's no way they were just sitting around doing nothing.
Exactly. But at the same time, to the average person, they're going to say, wow, to the person who's in our bubble, they're going to be like, it's been a long time since they made a game.
Yeah.
But maybe this goes further to alleviate some of those people's concerns, and someone like me this really doesn't have any bearing other than I know it's getting the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
Tell me about your history with Metroid Prime. What was going on in your life and your impression of that game when it was coming around?
So I was one of the people who was not on the side of the controversy that was, I don't believe in this game. Because when they were advertising this game coming out, at least within the Nintendo circle, there was kind of a divide of people who thought there's no way Nintendo could do this justice by being a first-person game. This is not my Metroid, blah, blah, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And there was a group that's like, this looks awesome. I think there's potential. I always thought what I was saying was cool. Other than playing some Super Metroid, I really didn't touch the Metroid series. I think I tried original Metroid and gave up on it before that point. And I knew Super Metroid was really good and I had fun with it, but I wasn't a huge Metroid fan. I didn't care about 2, didn't care about the original one. I remember even with Fusion coming out, and in Zero Mission, I was like, I'm not really, I played them later and ended up being great, but in the lead up to them, I wasn't very excited about them.
Right.
Metroid Prime got me very excited from the get-go. So I was all on board with it, and when I played it, it just in person, seeing it on the screen for the first time just looks so amazing. The screenshots that back then made it to me look very amazing, and seeing it in person looked even better. And I had a fantastic time. It was one of probably one of either my favorite or one of my favorite games from the GameCube era. And because of that, I tried to play 2. I was immediately bored 2. 2 didn't click as much with me, but then I got on board with 3 and really like 3. 1's still my favorite though. I would always want to replay 3 if it ever came out like this. 2 I might skip over just because I didn't really like it.
Yeah, I think it's the least interesting.
But 1, it's so good and it holds up so well. We replayed it a few years ago, and now even playing it a little bit yesterday, this is so good. It's just feels like it's almost timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad, how about you?
Oh, yeah. At the time, so I was a Metroid fan before this, Super Metroid and all that stuff. I was kind of just excited. I didn't know if it would work in 3D. First person seemed weird to me because all I knew Metroid was side-scrolling. That's all I knew it as. But I was just excited that it was going to be on a console and high budget, finally getting to play on my TV. I was very excited about that. But I mean, I didn't expect it to be good as it was. The GameCube was I love the GameCube, but it was kind of a weird time also, so I wasn't really sure. But it was excellent. When I played, I was very surprised how good it was. I think most people were when they played that game. No one, you take Metroid into 3D, and it's, because everyone, you expected, it's going to be 3D, okay? You expect it to be third person. They're no, it's going to be first person. And that was very alarming at first to me. When I heard about it, but then when you get in there and start playing, you're oh, okay, this is a Metroid game.
Yeah. 2 things. I swear I remember in the lead up to Metroid Prime, the reports came out that they had tried to make a Metroid on Nintendo 64, but
yeah.
it failed. They just couldn't get it to work. So in my mind, I was saying, if Nintendo can't pull off a 3D Metroid in a traditional sense, then maybe they need to adapt it into the more modern standards. So the FPS, I felt maybe this is the solution for. I was more willing to get it. So that was one thing I remembered. The other thing is this was coming out at the same time in the same window as Super Mario Sunshine Star Fox Adventures. That fall of 2022, 2002. Sorry, 2002. Where just got like a back to back of those, and each of those doing something different. Like Mario Sunshine. Jet, the water
Hydro,
flood. Yeah, flood was introduced, so like a new mechanic. Star Fox Adventures, it's not quite traditional Star Fox. It's this game with Star Fox slapped on it. Yeah,
it's not good.
And I mean, it was a fun time to have these 3 games back to back. But I think for me, Metroid Prime kind of makes it look a little rosier because it was so.
It was
good.
just extremely surprising. That's why.
Like Sunshine, I enjoyed,
Love
but
Sunshine.
it's not.
It's not 64.
It's not my favorite. It's my least favorite of the 3D Mario games. Sure. And then Star Fox Adventures. I love Star Fox, but man, that game is not good.
Yeah, I mean, kind of for me, there was all the initial reveals and stuff, and seeing it at magazines, but then it also kind of has that kind of special spot as that was my first E3.
Oh wow! What?
And and just the craziness of that E3 having Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, Eternal Darkness, all that stuff there. They even had this prototype, other people ended up putting them out, but Nintendo never put out their own, but they had a prototype GameCube screen.
Oh yeah,
there was
a portable thing.
Yeah. And then had Metroid Prime running on
That's
that.
Cool.
That's so
and they
cool.
had these surround sound booths at E3 that year. That basically you were just in this black hole in this theater screen to play those games.
Sick.
And so it was really sick to go
awesome.
through that and beat the demo
Man,
and get a little pin for it.
E3 used to be so cool, dude.
It was more open
cool.
then too.
Yeah.
So it's after the show floor closed, it's we would go to the Nintendo party and pick the brains of
retro
staff for
Dang,
forever.
That's cool.
Just ask them questions.
Yeah. I remember the live action commercial for this.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was that made me think this was a big deal when they unveiled that. Because I mean, Wind Waker also got one, but this was more production value. This is actually making it look like the game. I was like, woo.
Sorry, what year were these? 2002.
2002, 4, and 7.
Yeah. And then
Wind Waker was that year too?
Wind Waker came out later, but it was at the same E3.
Okay.
Yeah. It came out
I feel just at that
2003,
time
I think.
I was just so focused on Wind Waker, and that was it from Nintendo. That Metroid probably surprised me more because of that.
Yeah, and then I think because the demo at E3, there was still a lot to prove because the demo was just the spaceship.
Yeah.
So once you actually
you gotta get in the
on the
world
surface
and
you see all of this
start rolling
stuff
around,
working, and then you see how complex that world was.
I
and
think
at the time there just wasn't. It was one of those kind of groundbreaking things. It's you can do this in 3D.
Yeah, I think I remember Blood. Just the transition from first person to doing the morph ball was so good, and it just kind of gave me a lot of confidence when I saw that. Just that transition, just rolling around the ball, capturing that feeling is still super important in that game. They nailed it.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. I think I came to these when Prime 3 Corruption came out.
Okay.
I was trying to remember if I played 3 and then went back and played 1 and 2, or if I knew 3 was coming out and I thought it looked cool, so then rented 1 and 2 and played those. But I played all 3 back to back to back, and that was my first ever Metroid experience because Wii was my first home Nintendo console. So then after I beat all of those, on the virtual console I played Super Metroid, and then I was like, oh my god, these are so good. And then I was so excited for Other M.
Yeah. No, we all went through that.
Yeah.
And there's still, quite a bit I like about Other M. But
Other M, some of the gameplay segments are fine, yeah.
Yeah, it just, that story.
that story. Oh boy, that story.
But yeah, let's move on to some other stuff. Game Boy.
Yeah.
GBA on Switch. Dude. Another thing that people have been talking about for a while. Let's get these happening.
We did hear about this for a while.
Yeah. I mean, these are probably locked and ready to go forever.
Yes, definitely.
Just whether they're flipping. When are they flipping that Switch, basically?
Yeah, just flipping a coin, see if they'll reveal it that month or not.
It's what's a good time for this right now? pretty exciting, the possibilities, because these have such a large catalog.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping, given that like we got some really random things in the Game Boy collection,
did.
that means we're gonna get some cool obscure stuff on top of like they can like have a decent amount of like first party or hits and a lot of like obscure stuff, because these are the libraries where I think obscure is good. Like, we've seen NES catalogs over and over, and the Super Nintendo catalog over and over. Then, yes, we've had Game Boy before, but it's it's kind of exciting to have this again. And GBA was very limited before as well, so maybe we can get some of that, some of those releases.
A lot of the Ambassador games included some of these, yeah.
Yeah. I would have liked
like Mario's Picross or something on my 3DS for the longest time.
Yeah. Just functionality wise, like having the different filters,
I love that
screen size with like making it look more authentic, like the retro mode, which
the pixels.
just interesting. It's just interesting to see it again. It's like, oh yeah, like when you had that screen up close, it did have. I was like, yeah, it looked like that, but would probably turn that off.
I tried that Alone in the Dark game yesterday.
Oh,
yeah?
did you? I want to play
man,
with
it
Uber.
is weird. It's really funny because like anytime like you come into a new zone, it'll like flash up to a cutscene of dialogue being like, there's an object on the ground, I should pick that up. And it's like, having played a lifetime of survival horror games, I'm like, yeah, I know. But like back then it was probably
Right.
It also has like random encounter battles that cuts to a top-down mode.
Oh, that's sick.
Wow.
Really wild game, yeah.
That's
But
pretty
like
cool.
free open road, like walking around, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to catch up everyone on like the details. So Game Boy and Game Boy Color will be there for the base Switch Online.
Yep.
Game Boy Advance, you gotta pony up for the expansion pass.
Yep.
Uh,
Hey, I'm arguing it's incredible value at this point, because
It
you get
is.
the Mario Kart
Yeah.
DLC booster stuff for free. It's very like kind of like this
Live service game, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you get all that DLC stuff, it's kind of paying for itself. Anyway.
What's out right now on the Game Boy side is Tetris, Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins.
Great game.
Yeah, one of my favorite Game Boy games. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening
Great game.
DX, one of the best. Gargoyle's Quest. I have a lot of people speaking up for that. I've never put.
Oh
the time
yeah,
in
I never
myself.
played the Game Boy one.
Yeah.
Like as I said yesterday, Brad, you weren't there for it. That was one of the early games I had for Game Boy.
Cool.
Played a lot of it.
Sick, dude.
And then Game & Watch Gallery 3, maybe the most random.
I think I had that game actually randomly.
If not Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmares.
That
perhaps.
seems the most random.
Yeah. The Metroid 2.
Beautiful.
Wario Land 3, which is one of the Game Boy Color ones. And then Kirby's Dream Land. And then for the coming soons on the Game Boy side, both Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
Yeah, I'm
The
excited about
Pokemon trading card game.
that.
Not for me.
Just seeing any Pokemon
Yeah.
to me is
It's like
a win.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
of a little bit of like a pulse there. that
Monkey's
we
paw.
might get those.
You want a Pokemon game? Here you go. Trading
Uh,
card.
Kirby Tilt and Tumble, which I'm very curious about.
Oh yeah,
'Cause-
I want to check that
Because it's
out.
motion control.
Yeah.
It was one of
Yeah.
the first motion control
That's
things
cool.
that they put out.
Yeah. Maybe we could get. They could put on GBA a Boktai and sell an adapter thing.
I don't know about that. But it makes me think of WarioWare Twisted.
Oh yeah.
People have told me over and over again that's like the best of that series. And I've never played it. So if they can do Tilt and Tumble, I bet they could do Twisted.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, another cool thing was which of the games was it? The Game and Watch 3 include the e-reader card functionality.
Oh, that's-
so you don't have to.
That's on the
Sorry.
GBA side, yeah.
Yeah. So on the GBA side, you had to buy a device to read these like cards, and it would lock stuff in them, and they could also be used to unlock stuff in GameCube games, like Animal Crossing was big
Yeah.
with the NES demo stuff. If they're just going to include that unlocked already in these games, that's awesome.
Yeah, wonderful.
For people who don't have to hold
Yeah.
on to those, or for collectors who don't want to have to mess with that, that's really nice.
Well, the wild thing about e-reader stuff, and I was explaining this the other day, is that it's not. I mean, it probably varies depending on the game, but it's not simply unlocking. Like,
Yeah.
the barcode was the content. Like, it was the actual code, and so depending on what it was, is like you scan that card and you just put the code into the e-reader. And it gave you, that was the game, and that's why like some of those things they took like 16 swipes from like basically a whole pack of cards, because it was like however big the game is, how much memory it takes. That's how much how many dots are printed on those cards.
Yeah, they went the extra mile to make sure the content was already on the cartridge.
Right,
But on that GBA side, Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Get used to it. You got a few more coming.
Which I played a little bit of. I've never touched these before because I was just like, at the time I was like, why am I gonna buy these?
Yeah.
But the thing that kills me.
Sorry, is that one World?
No, that was Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. Sorry.
They're all out of order.
Yes, that's why I was
all
confused.
Out of order. But 3 is it was funny playing it because they've replaced a lot of the sound effects with voice samples. So like every time you pick up like a mushroom or a leaf or 1-up, there's a Mario voice.
This is why we have.
Sounds like
that's
a
why I
great
hope
idea.
we get the GBA Link to the Past, so you can have Link. It has rolling, and Link can go. He has all his little sound effects in there.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we can do that.
That's true, Damiani.
The first WarioWare is in there.
Cool.
Nice. Origin.
The first Kururin is in there.
Yeah, I never heard of this, but you were hyped.
Bud's
'cause it
very
never
excited
got out.
about
You get to be
that.
a stick.
Rotating stick game.
Yeah. And yeah, it had come out in Japan and Europe, but it had never
came
been
here. That's
released
cool.
here. And then maybe they'll give us Kururin Paradise eventually. And then Mario Kart Super Circuit.
Cool.
Another one I'd never put any time into.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Yeah, I want to play this. I never played these. I've never
okay.
played these Mario and Luigi
The
games.
3D looks crazy in it.
So funny.
It's so good to have that. It is a little sad on the heels of Alpha Dream.
Yeah, Alpha Dream
being
not existing anymore. I know. Yeah.
Rip.
Oh, Nintendo.
But also, the team that made Zelda Minish Cap also doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, Fujibayashi now directs Zelda. He's in charge of Breath of the Wild, and like some of that team did come over to Zelda.
Was that
team.
with Capcom, that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was called
Capcom
Flagship.
they had a team
Was their
there.
That's
team
cool,
there,
man.
Yeah.
Man.
And then the coming soon side on GBA is pretty nice as well. Metroid Fusion,
Nice.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror,
Yes.
Fire Emblem, the first one that came to the US,
Yep.
F-Zero Maximum Velocity, which was the launch game,
Oh, right.
one of them.
Yeah.
and Golden Sun.
That's the big
Yes,
one.
that's the good one. I just bought that game like 4 months ago because I've never played it.
Bring them all.
But now, I just play
Bring
it
them
there.
all. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see. Like, I'm very optimistic about the lineup that we could see on these. Obviously, there's going to be some things that aren't going to be making it. We just had the Cowabunga collection, so it's very unlikely that
Turtles
the
in Time.
Turtle Game Boy games are not going to end up
Oh,
on this.
right.
The GBA
Konami's
collection.
not above double dipping.
True. The GBA
Yeah.
Castlevania collection
Yeah, I don't
also,
see
so
that.
might not see that on there as well.
That's okay.
But
I could at least play it on there
you
if
know what I
want.
want to see? There are definitely some things, like there's some good games on here. Like, I don't have them all, obviously, but like some personal favorites. I want to see Metal Gear Solid Game Boy Color end up on
Was
this.
that Ghost of Babel?
That
Ghost
was it's
Babel,
like,
yep.
yeah.
Oh, Ghost
I
Babel,
want to
yeah.
see that on there. And I want to see Super Mario Brothers Deluxe DX, the Game Boy Color
yeah,
port, because it had challenge. It was an original game, but it had all these challenges
That's
in there,
sick.
which was really cool. It was really fun. Also played slightly differently, but it was like still fun. Like I actually liked it. There's some really cool things like that exist like on the Game Boy Color. And then obviously like GBA's lineup. There's like a ton of RPGs on
Yeah,
there that
there's a
hopefully
lot.
we can get.
Bring
I mean,
them to me.
dude, even
Final
got-
Fantasy.
Some old Atlas stuff. Yeah. Final Fantasy.
Those are good versions.
Like 12 Revenant Wings or whatever. Yeah.
That's DS.
That's DS.
Yeah.
But like 6.
Oh,
that
We're talking about
version.
Advance. Like,
Yeah,
6
Advance.
Advance.
Six Advance is
Maybe
a lot
that's
of
where
people
they
speak up
finally
for.
put them.
Oh.
We get those. 4, 5, and 6 Advance will come out on there. That's a possibility. I would, there's just so much they could put on there that and then I don't know if there's any big other releases maybe that never saw release over here. What system was Soma Bringer on again? Do you remember? Was that DS or was that GBA?
I think that one's DS.
Okay. I'm trying to think of like really rare, more obscure like GBA games that we
Right.
could get over here because this is the perfect like avenue for it.
Before we move on from this subject, I am just impressed that they did Game Boy and Game Boy Advanced.
Right.
I did not expect that from Nintendo. My expectations are always low with them, but maybe that's just me. But I was very pleased to see both at the same time.
Yeah.
Well
It's
done.
very funny though that Game Boy Advance is locked behind the expansion pass because it's like, I mean, it makes
16-bit,
sense now
dude.
because they have it now, but like SNES wasn't. And,
Well,
like, if they had it at the time, would they have put that
incentivized.
behind there too?
Small
You know,
history on 3DS. The only way to play the GBA games, Blood already mentioned it, the early adopter program.
Yeah.
You could get those 10 games.
dude, I remember that.
That was the only way to get
Wow.
them. They never were sold piecemeal
had
on
that,
there.
I think.
You
Whoa.
had to get it that way. So maybe they're just like looking back, like, yeah, this was a premium at one point.
So stupid, dude.
I don't know.
historically revenant gatekeeping.
I get the frustration though of people not being able to piecemeal buy these that don't
Yeah.
want to pay up
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
you should be
subscription.
able to give
but
them $5 or whatever. Yeah.
Eventually, if these collections get so big, it to me like give it time, like give it a year and see where it's at. And if that catalog keeps
I mean,
expanding,
if it's anything like before, we'll get a couple of big updates, and then we'll get like one every 2 months.
I think I mean that's probably Nintendo, but like I think Game Boy and Game Boy Advance might be easier for them to put more games on there because there are just way more games that I feel existed because especially Game Boy for how long it lasted. There's just such a huge catalog of games on there. I wouldn't even mind like getting different versions. I would like them to put the OG Link's Awakening on there as well.
I would too,
like
yeah.
that's the type of stuff I'd be very interested. Like the multiple versions of certain games, which was cool because we toggled to see the EU versions, showed like the German and
box art,
French. Yeah, it was that's just cool history to see and like differences in maybe not necessarily localization if you don't know the like differences between the language, but just marketing approaches because you said the box arts from them pretty different. Some other games have way different box arts for them that are just wildly different. I just want to see them be consistent. Even if it's not always the game I want, I hope they can
Right.
stick to a monthly schedule with these at least.
Yeah, some things that I think I would like to see. I don't even think it's a good game, but I've never played it. The original Wave Race.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had that, dude, on
Did
Game
you?
Boy. Is Game Boy
Is it called
Color or is it Game Boy?
It was just Game Boy.
Just Game
Okay,
Boy.
dude, yeah, I don't know why I had that Game Blood. I probably got it at a garage sale or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it was not good.
No, didn't it play kind of like RC Prime
Yes.
a little bit? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
top down, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I should try to find that for Dawn.
Just speaking of versions, dude, all the Donkey Kong Country portable
Yeah,
versions.
Dude,
Donkey Kong
oh.
Land.
And Land, Land.
The Donkey Kong game though, the Game Boy game.
94.
Dude, that game is good.
Yeah.
I hope they put
I
that
was
game
Got
on
that, yeah.
I was actually expecting that to be a launch. I was kind of surprised
Because that
wasn't
uses
on
a lot
there.
of Game Boy Color stuff.
Yeah, that game is sick, dude.
I wonder if they'll bring the Game Boy. You remember how the Game Boy? I don't know if it's on there already. If anyone figured out, but remember how Game Boy Color had palettes?
That's the thing that I one of the things I'm disappointed in is that you can't swap the colors.
So there
Like you
isn't.
could on
No
the-
one's figured out a trick how to do that. It doesn't exist.
I don't know if anyone has
Okay.
figured it out yet, but like the way that it used to work is not how it works now because you don't get the little Nintendo thing that
to
scrolls
time to
down when you would do it.
So adding that at some point would be a nice feature,
Yeah.
and then adding the borders from the Game Boy player would be a nice feature.
Well, not only that, you remember the Super Game Boy had borders.
Oh yeah, sorry, and Super Game Boy. Yeah. Sorry.
So here's one of the crazy things. Like when you're talking about Donkey Kong 94, there were custom borders for certain games that you could only access if you played them on the Super Game Boy.
That's cool.
or
I had the
Super
Super
Nintendo.
Game Boy. I don't remember though. It's been a long time. Speaking of borders, I wish you could just get rid of the borders on the
Oh,
Switch
everybody
Online
does.
thing.
Everybody does.
Come on, man.
Yeah. No, that thing sucks. Another one, which again, probably not good, especially to go back to, but it's just a curiosity. Faceball 2000.
oh man,
It was
Baseball?
16 players.
Whoa.
You hooked up a bunch of the link cables.
Wow. That's
and you could do a 16-player
That is a
FPS
lot.
game with like freaking smiley face guys wandering around a
Whoa,
maze,
crazy.
shooting each other.
Man, that's wild.
Oh, whoa.
Dang.
And then, of course, on the TVA side, Mother 3,
Yeah.
make it happen over here.
Oh, I wonder if those Sonic games will come over here.
Sonic
Oh, yeah,
Advance
Sonic
is really good.
Advance,
Yeah.
Sonic
Yeah.
Oh, God,
People,
the
they have a
Advance.
relationship with Sega, it seems like. So, yeah.
Faceball is like the Windows maze
Yeah.
screensaver.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep.
I want the classic golf, the Game Boy NES. Not NES,
I know what you're talking about.
The Game Boy Nintendo golf and Game Boy Nintendo baseball.
Oh,
I play
okay.
a lot of those games too. I would like to have those. Very similar to NES Golf though. For that, the baseball one I think is a little unique.
I remember the Game Boy Golf
Yeah.
game.
Baseball one was like fun to try and hit home runs.
Yeah,
and-
totally.
So yeah, I'm gonna run down some of the other features that
Cool.
the thing has. A lot of them are similar to the other Switch Online stuff, but then I also dug in and I tested everything out last night on a bunch of different games, kind of see what I'd like. So they have, like the others, they have local and online multiplayer. So that same kind of thing where it's like you invite your friends to a group.
Yeah.
No matchmaking, but you can still at least do better than link cables.
Yeah.
They've got save states. They've
Cool.
got the rewind. They have the 3 options on the Game Boy side. So you can do either the classic Game Boy or the Game Boy Pocket, so the classic Game Boy is greener.
Yeah.
Game Boy Pocket is closer to grayscale, but it's still got a little bit of a tint to it. And then the Game Boy Color, which a lot of like Metroid 2, they kind of like created like official color palettes
Yeah.
for that stuff.
That's cool. I'm really happy they put those in. That's awesome.
And then they have what Damiani's talking about, the classic feel option, which is a similar effect to scan lines, where it basically puts a grid on the screen. And then they have a small screen option, so you kind of zoom it out.
Oh, okay.
So it's not all the way top to
Stretch,
bottom.
like really big.
And so from what I was playing, I would prefer, you can do what you want, but I think what looks best is to go on the small screen, because it's just so big.
Yeah.
And the Game Boy Pocket
Color.
because I just feel like the Game Boy thing is just so green
Yeah.
that it's like,
It's very green.
It's very, very green. And then I would probably do like the classic filter, like now and then, like for some things that like, it's like one of those things where like the pixels were made for
Yeah.
the format. And so like it fills in some of the gaps, some of the texture. But then other things like when I was, when we were watching Gargoyle's Quest and stuff, like places that were just like really white, having that like checkerboard on the screen, it
Yeah.
just felt like too much.
Yeah.
So it's a little give and take there.
Sure. Cool.
Game by game sort of thing.
It's easy to switch between it, right? It's pretty quick.
It's not that easy.
Oh, okay.
You have to go back to
you have
game
to save
selection.
state,
Oh.
go back to the main
Okay.
I really wish they would update
system
that.
menu, and then swap it. Yeah.
I guess maybe they're like restarting the emulation, so it would be complicated. But like, it seems like that should be hot swappable.
Right.
Or at least save maybe presets to games. So like
Yeah.
Oh, you can
You
change
could-
it per game kind of thing.
yeah, like lock it so then you have to don't
That would be
need-
good.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Yeah. And then the other thing that like, the one reason I don't really care too much for like using the Game Boy Color
Palette.
for the original Game Boy games is because it's it almost kind of diminishes in a way, like it takes away from your imagination because when you see like 4 shades of black and white, it's 4 shades of black and white, but you can imagine that in a way it could be like anything. But when you turn like light gray into red and dark gray into blue and like you kind of like you sort of limit like
Sure.
the color palette in a
Yeah, I
weird
get
way.
that.
And then they do look good on the handheld mode,
Oh, yeah, I bet.
on the OLED especially.
Yeah, I bet.
If you have it set to the Pocket version and you play a Game Boy Color game,
Ignores.
it'll be color, right? It'll
Yeah, because
ignore-
it's a Game Boy
Links
Color.
are
Right,
game.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
I tried that.
So it just ignores it. Okay, I was wondering that. Yeah, if it
I wanted to see if
overrides.
they snuck in the OG version if you just switch the filters. No, no.
Oh, that would've
no,
been
they
cute.
But yeah, and then I've got friends that like swear by Wario Land 3, and I have never
I
played
don't think
it
I've
before.
played Wario Land 3.
I know it's a weird game. Oh, that's the other thing that I'm annoyed
Was the
by.
first one on Game Boy? Original
First
Game
two
Boy?
were on Game Boy.
Okay, I think I played the first one.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But no, the thing that annoys me, and Wario Land 3 is a great example, and I think Gargoyle's Quest is too, no manuals still.
Yeah,
Switch Online, across the board, you need manuals. What are you doing?
for those games especially. Older games,
Like Wario Land 3 is one of those games that like it just looks like a side scroller, and then you start playing it and you're like, wait, what's going on? I don't die, I don't have lives. I catch
They
myself
don't-
on fire to like
So
go through areas.
Where was the last time they did do manuals? Because there was a point where there was a
I'm
link.
sure they were on the Wii U.
There was something with a link that would take you to a Nintendo site that had the manual scan in PDF.
That was
'Cause I
the
downloaded
classic.
because I
Super
don't-
NES Classic.
Oh,
the
because
mini.
I downloaded all the Zelda ones because it's like, yo, sick.
Oh, yeah,
like, yeah. HD, like high res for free. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you so
sick.
much, Nintendo.
Thanks.
But yeah, there was like a link. They weren't included in the thing, but if you had a phone with browser, your
Yeah.
computer up.
NES
I'd
and
at least
Super
take-
NES Minis did those.
Okay, they should at least try and do that
Yep.
if they can.
But that's why it's so crazy because they had those all scanned in the original manuals that they could have included, but they also have all these digital manuals from so many games from the Wii Virtual Console.
That's true.
That like they're not the the original stuff that was in the paper manual, but at least like gave you a breakdown of like these are
Monkey's
what all the
Paw,
items
man.
do.
Monkey's Paw.
I wonder if it's an issue with some of the third-party editions. They didn't preserve some of that stuff. I mean,
They
you
should
just
still
go
do it for
buy-
first party,
go-
though,
go-
at
Yeah,
least.
but first party, I think they should do it for. You're right. But maybe it's just an issue of like they don't want to no, we're not going to do that much work. You're just giving me the game. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, premium service. We're not gonna do that much work.
Well, for Game Boy, yeah, okay.
You still paid for that.
Yeah.
Was
But
it like
not-
regional? Maybe they didn't have it in every. Like they didn't do the scans for Europe or something, so they just.
But that's what I'm
didn't wanna-
saying though. Like with the Wii and Wii U, like they weren't scanned in manuals. They were like they were custom made like simplified
Oh.
manuals for those. So you would just like go you would hit home and then you would look at manual and they would have the basics of like what the controls are, and then what they would have screenshots of items and things like that for RPGs and adventure
Yeah.
games and that sort of thing.
Man, some of that artwork's so cool too. Those manuals. Damn.
But needs something,
Yep.
even if it's just a
Sure.
screen full of text. Like
Sure, just a little something.
just explain how this game works. But yeah,
Higher Bloodworth to write them.
I'll do it. Next up, Damiani, Brad, Zelda. It's Zelda time.
Yeah, it is.
Cheers!
What am I,
cheers to the
chopped liver?
Yes.
They're huge on Zelda. Though.
I
Yeah,
know.
You're
I'm just
big on Breath of the Wild for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Brad's trying to play through like every Zelda here on stream.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm on the last 3D one right now.
This is a weird trailer. Like I don't know what to
Yeah.
think of this trailer. Like it doesn't make me more excited. It just like makes me wonder what's going
So
on.
it does answer some basic questions. For one of the biggest criticisms of the original game across the board was enemy variety. So right off the bat, you see like a bunch of different enemies
Yes.
and like
You see a lot of the same enemies.
but they're paired up with different things. So like by variety, it also means like it's not the same version or just like the same color, palette swap. They're like like one of them was like a bokoblin, bunch of bokoblins sounded like a moblin or something. Like,
Yeah.
in a pack. Or chasing you through a cave like that. Like maybe their AI is more advanced now. So it's showing some evolution of like the enemy AI so that maybe it's going to feel a little bit more varied and different because that was one of probably a decent shortcoming.
Great example of that, Damiani, is we see a flying guy like carrying a bokoblin
Oh,
with
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And just
Dropping them
cool
off.
little things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like they all look like powered up versions of their Breath of the Wild version. They got like horns and stuff
that
coming
would-
out now. But I like this trailer, but I was kind of down on it when I first saw it. I was like, I still want to know so much more. But the more I thought about it, I was like, we got to see a lot of cool stuff in the world. The thing I want to see is like, what are you doing with like a dungeon kind of thing? Like we're seeing all these cool things of Link traversing the world in new ways, like out in the open world, which I think is super great and awesome. But I was just like, man, I just want to see the dungeon, the puzzle aspect, more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like obviously like I didn't expect to see you making cars like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts and stuff like that. All
Yeah.
these weird creative
And
things.
if you haven't seen this trailer yet, it's kind of crazy because you see a lot of these elements that seem to go along with this building, like
Yes.
what I assume is a building mechanic of
Yes,
some kind.
Yeah.
definitely.
Because you see them using like a magnesis kind of thing, pulling something out of the muck.
Tire.
And,
Tire,
and
yeah.
you look back at it and it's like, oh yeah, that's the same wheel that's on the big truck thing
Mm-hmm.
right after it. And the big truck thing has like this kind of like green writing or symbol or whatever
Yeah.
in a lot of the cracks on it. And there's also this kind of like air platform that looks like
Yeah.
a
hovercraft
big
thing
drone
or flying.
something
Yeah,
that you
it
fly
drone's a
around
better word,
on.
yeah.
There's a hot air balloon that seems to have
That's
some
really
green
cool. I love
going
that.
on.
It's a hot air balloon.
There is something when you're doing the horse shot. There's like something green falling out of the sky, which I think could be something related to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that big golem that you fight has those symbols written
Yeah,
all
that-
over
all that
it,
stuff
and it looks like
powering
it's
it.
just built out of blocks. So I'm like, can I build a golem to fight with me?
Nah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what's going on with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope the building thing isn't too comprehensive.
Right.
Like, that's not really what I'm looking for out of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
just as simple as like, oh, there are a few basic. Like, we want to give you some modes of transportation in this game other than like a horse to maybe like speed up traversal, especially since you're going in the sky. So something that can fly is probably going to be necessary. It's just maybe you just have to like get the parts together and assemble them, and that's your vehicle, and it doesn't really need any customization. It's just put it together, and you're done.
I'm hoping there's like, so one big thing with Breath of the Wild is just traversal in itself. So I'm hoping like, but in Breath of the Wild, you could get pretty much anywhere on your horse. I'm hoping that maybe there's some areas you can't get to on the ground with your horse. Maybe you got to build that car to get through some other area.
The
Stuff
car
like
is
that.
so wide, though, it makes me feel like you have to be transporting something else.
Maybe you
with
can.
it. Yeah.
Escort quest.
I'm hoping it's just something like Robbie and Impa's sister, the one who didn't age or did the aging thing.
Oh, right, the scientist.
Their little like head research facility. I'm hoping
yeah.
it's something you just go like
There.
they teach you the thing on like your Sheikah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like now you have this power. You can like assemble it, and like it's something. Yeah, you have to earn it after you've explored enough in the world.
Yeah,
it's,
that could
it's
be
kind
fun.
of like a reward.
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be
and
fun.
I would be fine with that. But I'm also like, like you, Brad, echo your sentiment, Brad, about me personally, I really just need to see puzzles and dungeon environments.
Yeah, that's
what are you doing?
because that's a
not
huge
doing them or are
part
you
of the
doing
game,
them?
and
Yeah.
they haven't like shown
Like,
any.
not
of
even
that.
shrines. It's like you haven't shown anything. The only
Yeah.
hint I could surmise as a guess, educated guess, is that the sky stuff is actually like shrine-like puzzle environments.
Yeah.
because they're so small and scattershot. I mean, they look
There's
better than
one
Sonic
that's almost
Frontiers.
like a tower that you
Yeah.
see in the distance. There's like a bunch of them up in a row.
It looks more purposeful than Sonic Frontiers with everything that's hanging about.
yeah,
It's
it's not rails doing loops everywhere.
Exactly. It looks a little bit more methodical.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like when I keep seeing them, like they don't look that big. I wonder if these are just going to be like puzzle challenge dungeon type areas, and then it looks like you drop stuff to the surface, and like that's kind of like the light dark world thing where by solving stuff up there you drop stuff down to the surface, you can progress through some of the overworld a little bit better, and that might be the big hook.
Yeah, I really feel like there's some underground stuff too.
Oh, there's
like teases of it, but
I
like
hope.
maybe
yeah,
more
the first
fleshed
thing
out.
they showed seemed to be a tease to underground. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there are people who are like, well, I've seen people seeing this trailer. They're still excited for Tears of the Kingdom, but they were like, where's that like it moment where like it really like this is the big thing? Like
Right.
people like are speculating that maybe there's a giant underground connected labyrinth, like they're like Elden Ring. We have that moment we go deep underground, like oh my god, there's a whole underworld under here. Yes, this is it, and it's like all puzzle based or something.
Yeah, definitely
like that
hoping that.
moment. I don't know if they're gonna give it to us, but like yeah, I just would love to see dungeons with like theming again.
Yeah,
of some kind.
I think that most
doesn't even
people
need
want.
the item hook. Like
No,
I'm
you don't
okay
need that.
with that.
Yeah,
I
you don't
just
need
would
that.
like that atmosphere
Me too.
again.
I agree because
That
like
doesn't feel like so. It got repetitive.
It did.
Because the
the
shrines
shrines all
had the
look
same
the
music.
same.
and-
The
yeah.
divine beasts are all kind of
And
similar.
they felt like
vibe.
amalgamations of them. They
Yeah.
were definitely more complicated and dungeon-like. It just they lacked that like key
So,
ingredient
That's
for me.
the thing with Breath of the Wild is repetition. When we saw the enemy type, and we're seeing more variety in the enemy type here, so I hope that carries over to other aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Because they gotta be aware of that.
They showed Link climbing anything in
Yeah.
this? In, like,
Oh,
in
in this
gameplay,
trailer?
In gameplay.
In this trailer, I
I
don't
know
think
in the
so.
footage.
Earlier trailers
Okay.
did.
I just want to make sure he's still can climb it.
Yeah, he can still
sure.
climb. Yeah, he's
Because
climbing.
his hand, I was like, is he still able to
No, he
climb
can still-
everything?
What if
We see him grinding on rails.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the shield. That's fun.
Yeah.
And then
Shades of Twilight Princess right there.
Yeah,
with the-
definitely. The
she's
snow.
got like a homing arrow in one
yeah,
shot.
new
It's got like
weapon type.
like a ball on the end of it.
Yeah,
and
that's
it kinda
cool.
Changes direction to the flying enemy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
There's this crazy thing I was showing Brad. We were looking at earlier. It's like this. He does like a flip, and then he's got like this big. It almost looks like a mace, but and it like flings out like a cannonball out of this.
Like
guy.
Oh, the
Yeah,
fire,
yeah,
the big
it fires that big
Taurus
ball.
looking
Yeah.
enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Really
that.
fun. Really weird, fun weapon types.
So
it looks like.
I'm all for them trying like new types of weapons rather than like bringing back
Yeah.
any of like the old school stuff. Although I still want a hook shot, like
Oh,
I just want a hook
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
That's all I need.
In that
It's just,
game, dude?
just a hook shot is all I
Hook
need.
shot plus glider. Heck yes.
Yeah, like we already talked about like Arkham City, like when you could like grapple up
Hey,
and launch yourself. Like,
maybe that's like later games.
yeah,
stuff.
they're hiding that for
that's
the
OP.
end. Yeah,
In that game,
for
dude?
sure.
But,
That'll
like,
be the moment.
I like these new weapon types. They seem really weird and goofy. Like we saw earlier in the other trailer, he had like a dragon head attached to a shield, like shooting out fire. It's like
Right.
I'm way down with weird weapon stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we don't know like what the weapon durability thing is going to be like. We don't
Exactly.
know any of that, so I am curious to see if it.
We do have the like rusted.
The Master Sword is like damaged. Yeah.
We still know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
We don't know, like,
We don't know what's going on a lot.
This trailer also was like really dark, like
Canon,
I
dude.
mean,
the
Ganondorf's-
music, and then like the
tone.
the blood moon.
Yeah.
just like actually seeing it spawn enemies.
Transform
You know what
for
it felt
whatever
like?
reason.
Zelda 2 vibes.
Sure. Yeah.
Like-
well, they had to kill Link in Zelda 2.
You're like, we gotta
Yeah.
like Link has to die, resurrect
Sprinkle the
Ganon.
blood on
like
Ganon's
Ganon's
ashes.
minions are rising up again. They're invading everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I'm down with
World's
that.
being overrun. We didn't see like the new champions, like the current champions anywhere in this
Well,
trailer.
that's one of
Like,
the things I rewatching it, because you see when like Link grabs the girl's hand, right, and you're hearing Zelda VO around that, so you assume that that's Zelda, but it's like, wait, you don't see this person's face.
I'm
and
guessing.
she's not dressed like Zelda.
I'm guessing it's Hylia or a brand new character.
Don't if they aren't showing you
guessing it's a new
something,
character, probably.
don't.
Dominic doesn't want to speculate because he doesn't want to get disappointed
It's
if it doesn't.
they
turn
don't
out.
show anything. Like just best not to like guess.
Yeah,
at
sure.
this point.
Yeah, I get-
Also, like I know people are assuming like the voice at the beginning is Ganon talking, but like
Dude, that's 100% Ganondorf. Rise,
I'm
my
not
minions.
sure either.
just saying. Just wait for it to be confirmed. Also, as other people have pointed this out. I took it a different meaning, but in English it says destroy Hyrule and her allies. So
I see what you mean.
It's like I was like, oh, the champions and any people who are helping them. But people are like, does that mean beyond Hyrule? I'm like,
No.
I was like, yeah, that's where
No.
this is the speculation.
No.
This is the one I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Brett. This is the speculation I don't
No.
like. Where it's like that's getting your expectations too high.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's like I mean, obviously maybe in Japanese it's a little bit more concrete about means like just like
Wipe out.
like everyone who's supporting like Hyrule, like anyone who supports the Hyrule Royal family, like they're enemies. Like I think that's what it like probably means.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm curious to see existing characters, what they're up to, if they're gonna they.
The towns. We saw Hatano Village just real quick.
Yeah.
In it.
Part of this, I think, Blood is. I think this is like the intended way. Maybe they wanted to market this game because they know how successful the first game was. And if they have something really, they've been working on this a long time. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that there's like a lot of cool stuff. They just want you to see on your own in the context of the game for the first time, not in a trailer. I feel like with the trailer, everyone keeps referring to where's that 2017 Switch revealed presentation trailer moment for this game. It could still happen. They could still have a dedicated Tears of the Kingdom direct and do that. But if they don't,
well, we had an E3 demo.
Yeah.
We had Treehouse Live.
With Breath of the Wild, I think it had a little bit more to prove. Also, it had to help Switch sell. It was a different circumstance.
Yeah.
They didn't have the luxury of holding back stuff. It needed to wow everyone. It needed to secure sales. It had a different objective. I think it was just a different context for that, so they had to go a little bit more all out. Now this is a sequel, and they've proven themselves. I think they can hold back a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to see it, there'll be like a dedicated direct where it's the complete focus of that presentation. They can give it to you with a little bit more context. It might be something we see it like that's stupid, but like when you explain with enough time, like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like they might not want that knee-jerk reaction. Or, it's just something like they don't even want to explain it. Like, we want you to see it because it's so cool in action. Like, the hookshot grappling stuff everywhere. And, like, you just can, like, fly all over Hyrule or something. Like, let's go. Like, I understand that.
Dude,
so.
think about the Amiibo skins for the hookshot,
Okay,
Damiani.
For the hookshot?
Yeah, we're going to get new skins
For the hookshot?
Yeah, dude. What do you mean, man? They go insane.
Where are you going to put them on the hookshot?
You just do a different looking hookshot. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
different-
Do you see that one of the amiibo skins is Majora's Mask?
Yeah.
But that's for the glider.
For the glider, yeah.
the glider, I understand, because that's like the same with the Mario Kart 8
Don't
Deluxe. Like, you see those-
underestimate Nintendo.
There's enough real
with
estate
Amiibo.
on there. The hookshot doesn't have enough real
It's
estate.
not just a skin dummy. It's not just like graphic on the hookshot. It's a brand new looking hookshot. A different looking hookshot.
Okay, so we're gonna do
Different models.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it could be
Completely
like
different
different
models.
ones from different games.
Yes.
So like maybe the claw shots from Twilight.
Sure,
Princess.
yes.
Dual wielding
Yes,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or like the classic
Don't
hook shot.
understand. I mean, they got a lot of Amiibo. They could still do stuff.
Maybe they could do this like all Link's like swords again. They just bring back every sword from every Zelda game, all the different Mastered of Sword versions too.
Big Goron
Yeah.
sword. Yeah. Great fairy sword.
Was the Majora's Mask Fierce Deity / the double helix sword added into this?
I don't remember.
Is Fierce Deity costume even in this? And I forget.
Fierce Deity?
In this, or you mean
I
in
deleted the
Breath of the Wild?
classic
I
costumes
can't
from my
remember if it
memory.
is. I can't remember.
I only have like the one equipped in my
Dominic,
game.
I won't forget it because it's rage and disappointment.
That's why.
That's
It's like,
why.
I don't want to do it.
I wanted the classic. I love Link's new look. Don't get me wrong, but I love the classic tunic, and you don't get one until you do every shrine, and you're like done with the game at that point.
I am very curious if they're going to go for the same approach with the sound design. So like the minimalist
Sure.
approach. If
I
it's going to be
think
also another
so.
piano, like more piano themed compositions that kind of like
I
dominate.
mean, they might not be, all piano focused, but I think it probably will be similar.
Yeah.
Because
I'm very curious.
Just like that's just the way that it's around the game design.
Yeah, they're
And
gonna
it's
have.
around that self-discovery.
I'm very curious about I'm curious about the sound design. We're seeing hints of like how the existing overworld's being transformed by whatever the heck is going on.
Yeah.
I'm curious if like all of the overworld that hasn't been like maybe like obliterated by something, like if it's still there, you could still go to it. So like literally the whole map is still present, and if like how much it's been like changed. I'm very curious. Like that could be just fun, like going through like surface Hyrule, taking a bunch of time, like. What did they change over here? Oh, this is completely
Yeah.
changed. Or maybe
Will the Lost Woods run terribly still?
that would be amazing. I'll walk in there and it runs smoothly. I'll be like, I'll
Dude,
clap for
I'm
that.
worried about this game running worse just because of how much bigger it seems. Like the sky, like it doesn't seem like there's a loading between
No.
Link free falling
It
and
just
stuff.
seems like one gigantic open space.
Yeah.
This is their tech, man. This is why it's taking so
I hope
long
so,
to get it
Damiani.
to
God,
run
I
so
hope so.
smoothly.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to jump in. As long as my biggest fear is it's not literally Zelda nuts and bolts. Like if it becomes like that, where like the main objective is like
There's like
crafting,
no dungeon, no puzzles.
It's about like building bases, building vehicles. I'm
Minecraft
like, I
stuff.
will be I will be very
yeah,
disappointed.
I mean, I
in
think
that.
the puzzle element is super important to Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't want them to lose that. I mean, we saw them do like some sort of movement puzzle in the trailer, a little bit like rotating
Yeah.
something, but I know what you mean though.
Yeah, I'm also excited for what new maybe classic enemies might come back. People like
We saw
claiming
the
that
one
are
on the bridge,
redead.
the three-headed dragon. What was it called?
So you think it's Gleeok?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. If I can't remember what it looked like in the trailer.
Had, like,
I mean,
three
in the
heads
trailer
on
you
fire.
can barely see it.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can just
I
tell
know
that
there
there's
are
like
people-
a dragon with three heads.
So I know
with
there
fire.
are people who think one of the things they showed off was a redead or their
Yes,
version
I
of a
did see that. It looked like a redead,
Yeah.
like a newer version of redead. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Again, like I have not like watched it a second time, so
Yeah.
yeah, but like Gleeok's a cool like I mean if it's just a regular enemy, but if it became like a boss,
It looked like a mini boss because he's
Yeah.
big boy chilling
I
on
could
that
see
bridge.
it like being something that's like just kind of one of those rare things that's out there, like a Lionel or something.
I would love for classic Zelda 1 bosses to come back, like Dig Dogger to come back.
Yeah, me too.
Let's get more Dodongo in there.
Dongo, dude. Use the
I
bombs.
want to see like the enemy Patra come back. It's the eyes with a bunch of spinning
Yeah, it
eyes
sounds
around
like-
it.
it sounds
and
like a
stuff.
nightmare in that
Yeah,
game.
like in 3D,
Yeah,
like it just
a
like
nightmare.
coming at you. Like what is this giant swarm
Yeah.
of crap coming at me?
I wonder
Yeah.
if there'll be a magic meter. Probably not.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing. That was like, sorry, that was one of the bigger things in the original that I kind of lamented that they didn't have like any kind of form of a magic meter or
it was like
more
a weapon. You know,
yeah.
you find a rod.
leaning maybe heavier into like spell based magic because you did have weapons that could do
Yeah.
elemental attacks.
Yeah.
But I mean, it might be nice to maybe tap into that.
I
a
think
little
so
bit.
because it looks like you don't have the Sheikah Slate. It looks like you do everything with your arm now.
Zelda, yeah, it's
But
probably your arm.
Link has like these like weird like charges of like green stuff on him. Maybe you use those charges that count like magic to do stuff.
Possibly, maybe that could be it. Zelda also had something that looked like a newer Sheikah Slate.
Oh, okay.
Or people
Maybe.
calling it the pre-order. That's what the Switch is gonna
Pre-order
look like.
slate.
It's the Switch, the
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom Switch is gonna look
Yeah.
like that.
Zelda she'll like possess your mind, and you'll use up her life force to cast
my
her
gosh.
magic, but it's finite
I mean,
through the playthrough.
I think I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen people again. I don't like too much speculation, but one of the common threads that keeps coming up is like they're showing Zelda falling now in 2 different trailers, and is she like dead or temporary dead or incapacitated and we already have a game where that kind of happens in Spirit Tracks where Zelda's spirit comes around with you.
Yeah.
Could that be something where
Could be.
Zelda in ethereal form is traveling with you, and maybe that's one of the big gimmicks they don't want to show is that
I still think it's going to be Ganondorf with that role, but
yeah, they could that also could
hand.
be like, maybe that's a thing where you how that's going to work. They really don't want to show that off.
Exciting, dude. Ganondorf as your like companion character, Uneasy Alliance the whole time.
I'm just very curious to see if they're gonna go in any this is the thing where I'm setting myself up for disappointment.
Okay.
Is if they're gonna go any more in depth about what with this humanoid version of Ganondorf that's being depicted here, and then the freaking Ganon we saw in the original game, which is like this mindless form that like had no
It's the
personality
Malice or whatever.
Yeah, so like Malice versus this version, like the connection between that, like if they're even gonna do that, like and something that's satisfying, and
Sure.
like I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. No, I mean, because you see the what looks like just like gushing blood.
Yeah, it's the Malice.
Flying out of him and coming after Link. And then you see this similar, kind of thing is like what's coming from the Blood Moon to like spawn all the enemies.
And coming out of like Death Mountain.
Yeah.
Where it looks like maybe those are the dungeons, hopefully.
I hope.
Hyrule Castle has that too.
Yeah, that's a thing because that would be really cool, man.
Going into Death Mountain.
So
would
there
be
better
awesome.
not be 900 and whatever freaking Korok seeds in this game.
Right.
Instead, in this one,
3,000.
I want 999 the Pickery or the Minish.
Oh, the Minish?
Scattered
Yeah.
throughout.
Find
Yeah,
Minish,
like little like
Maybe they
mushroom
could
houses
fit
and
the
stuff.
Minish village in. Yeah, it did get cut from the Breath of the Wild, so maybe.
One last thing we haven't talked about yet. That price.
$70, baby.
Oh,
$69.99.
$70. First Nintendo game. as far
First
as I'm aware?
Nintendo
Yeah.
game.
yeah.
Getting with the times.
I'm surprised they haven't waited to pull the trigger on that until
I was
a new
telling you,
system.
that's what I
A
was
new
surprised
system.
about.
Right. Yeah.
I think it was going to be inevitable at some point.
Yes, of course.
But I think they're probably seeing that now that both Sony and Microsoft started like pretty much this year. They're committing to it.
Yep.
Nintendo's like, well, we should just do it too
Yep.
because we know people will
Pay it.
complain about it, but they'll ultimately pay
Yeah,
for
with
it.
Zelda, it's like,
Yeah,
what are you
and
going to do?
And I think they honestly probably feel it's their most compelling argument. Like, what is a business decision that we can do this? And I think they believe they were justified. It's not them just being completely greedy.
This is just where the market is moving. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the past they've tried to be as transparent. Like when they talk about DLC, they're like, if you're not sure, like remember Sakurai's speeches about the fighter passes. I can't tell you what those fighters are yet. So if you don't feel comfortable, don't buy it yet. Wait for that. Like a developer telling you don't do it. It's like, wait,
Yeah,
what?
well,
Like, yeah, they definitely I think have. Some good logic. I'll say that. And I was gonna say good intention, but good logic at least. And I think they would probably be able to very fairly defend the decision for this. That this is a very big game, lengthy game, and that they could probably argue like we could have charged $70 for the original one. And you would have told us all it was worth that $70. But also they're going to say like this is the times everyone is going this way. They'll use like every other justification that everyone else is using right now and say on top of that we're giving you such a substantive game here with Tears of the Kingdom. And I think a lot of people will be frustrated. There'll be some hardliners who just say like screw you, but like they're ultimately probably just going to buy it anyway.
it's just the way it's going to go. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We see this every time again.
$200 into this game. Easy.
But you said you dug up a quote.
Yeah, we
to
got a quote
clarify
here.
something about whether this is going to be the trend going forward. Blood.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
big question.
Well, yeah, Game Informer, and this is such a PR quote. Game Informer asked about the price, and their answer was, no. Or would this be the trend going forward for first-party games? They said, no. We determine the suggested retail price for any Nintendo product on a case-by-case basis.
So that sounds like they're saying like this is how we've always done it, and like this is nothing like don't like yeah.
That's why this
not the
game is
answer.
$70, and Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe is $60, and Metroid Prime Remastered is $40.
I mean,
Like
most of their games, within a year, most of their first party games will be $70.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Obviously, it's in the eye of the beholder. Like there's huge Kirby fans out there who might say Return to Dreamland Deluxe is worth $60.
Sure.
But like for me, to be like a little bit more fair and accepting of this practice, it would also have to mean certain games would go down in price because they're no longer on like that caliber of game. So like to me, Return to Dreamland Deluxe should not be anywhere near $70. I would say it should be a $49.99 game at most.
Yeah.
Especially as a port, enhanced, port with new content. I saw the file size. Didn't want to get into the file size because it's only 4 gigs more than Breath of the Wild, and I don't want people like
What?
See there, that's like
What? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's not a whole other overworld. What the hell?
It took them 6 years or 4 gigs.
Call of Duty's like 100 gigs.
Yeah, 100 gigs. What the hell? Sorry for that. I didn't want to get into that. But
Call of Duty is 70.
What?
Talking about price.
Oh yeah, I meant gigs.
Yeah.
But I would expect some games like when Link's Awakening came out in 2019, that should have been like a 50, 49,
$60.
39.
Skyward Sword,
Yeah.
$60.
Like Skyward Sword should not, yeah. I think they would have to price things a little bit more, have more variable pricing to justify this. But over time, I think they realize
they're just going to go
it's literally going to
$70.
be stuff like like remasters will probably be $40 going forward. What they are right, like what
Maybe?
Metroid is. Metroid's $39 right
I know,
now, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird because Metroid is 40.
I would say
and
Metroid's-
Kirby is 60. So it's like, where's the...
This is where it gets weird,
Yeah,
but like
because it's like Metroid is easily the more desirable game.
I think there should be
the better game.
I think there should be,
What?
but for Switch games going
the
forward,
more effort put into it.
first party Switch games going forward, they should range from $39.99 to $69.99. And there needs to be games coming out at all those different price points. Not every first party release needs to be $59
Well, they do
or
have
$69.
They do have smaller things too, but they
I'm
do have
saying-
games that are $30, $20.
I would say, like,
yeah,
Like what? How much is Advance Wars costing? I don't know if you could fact check that for Isla.
yeah, I
Probably
was
60.
you grab that.
That should not be.
Check
I
in.
know people want to be 60 to support it, but I would argue that should probably not be 60.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Even though that's rebuilt entirely from the ground up.
I know, but
Yeah.
I would argue like that's like, $39 to $49.99 territory.
That's 60, baby.
Yeah, I would say
$59.99.
that should not be 60 under this thing. If they're going to go by this logic, that like some game, like, I mean, they have not said this. This is what we're all assuming that okay, Tears of the Kingdom is the metric for a $70 game now. Then to me, it's like 3D Mario game, a new freaking like next Metroid Prime.
Prime 4, yeah.
Pokemon's are never not going to charge full price for
Yeah.
Pokemon. It's like those are the caliber games that are going to get full price. And then the tier below that would be for like pretty much like I'd say like Bayonetta would probably be like should be $60, not a $70 game.
Yeah.
I would argue that. And this is like the uncomfortable this is an uncomfortable conversation because like I'm not a business person and like you should charge what you want to charge, but at the same time I understand why people are upset because you want to see if you're going to charge more for something and you're led to believe it's for this reason. You want to see then okay, then the smaller games but then we get this is the uncomfortable part. It's like how do you start judging that by hours completed?
Right.
Well, how long does it take you or me to beat it?
Right.
Like this is where I don't like this because
Well, it's like if
Yeah.
Nintendo is judging it on some like hidden metric,
Yeah.
people will assume it's on quality. So it's
Exactly.
like if Zelda, we believe in Zelda so much that it's 70. If Pikmin 4 comes out and it's $59.99, it's like, do you not believe in this as much? Is it worse? Like, what are you saying
This is
with
it,
that?
Isla. Like people,
Right.
it goes both ways. Whether ahead of release, it could be like, oh, that's not a quality title. It's only $49.99. Well, that's you didn't spend
a
a lot of
budget
time on
title,
that.
yeah.
Or like when review scores aren't good enough. Why'd you charge this much for it? Like that's where it gets like.
I don't. I don't even want to like.
Games
I'm not
should
gonna write
cost-
about the price when I review this
No,
game. I'm just
no.
Yeah,
no,
oh, yeah.
exactly. Like that's I'd never bring up price
Yeah.
in my reviews either. But like this is
They
more
should
just like
cost more the worse they score.
It's not a bad idea.
this is like what's gonna come up, and this is gonna be like
Yeah, of course it's gonna come. It's gonna be
Yeah.
coming up for a while until this game's out for a while. It's gonna come up. Like every Sony game we had this was going on for a long time. We're probably gonna hear it with like Starfield or something like that. Well, they have Game Pass, so that helps. But it's
Right.
like this is just the way that games are going now. The price that's gonna become the normal as we get further on.
Yeah, and I think the industry kind of strained
Yes.
against that $60 for the longest time.
Yes,
and now
long-
it's like this
longer than we
generation has
probably
been the time
expected.
they started getting the leaks one after another, a little
Yeah.
this one and that one,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just becoming the norm.
Now, if you're looking for loopholes and stuff to get
we
things
go, John
cheaper,
Mayotte tips.
that Nintendo voucher program is back. You can get that $70 Tears of the Kingdom You have to buy one other game, so it's $99. It's $100, $99.99 for the voucher, but you can get a $59.99 and a $69.99 game there, and save yourself $30 right there.
That's a good
So
deal.
you can
Whoa.
turn Tears of the Kingdom into a $50 game.
That's a good deal.
essentially. It's eligible.
Is that digital only though?
Yes.
Damn.
So it's only if you're digital. So
Okay.
I understand your frustration.
Could
if
you
you're
imagine?
physical.
It's something at least.
You
I
walk up
guess.
to like GameStop with your Switch and like, here's my voucher.
Dude,
Scan it.
Dude,
How
I
do I
would love
redeem
that.
that?
Blood a coupon on
Isla,
your Switch. They
Isla,
just scan
Hi.
it.
Can
Oh
can we
my
film
god.
that as a? Can we film that as like a
As
easy
a sketch?
update?
Sure. We'll go in. We won't tell them what we're doing, and we'll go into a GameStop and be like, play along.
Why doesn't it work?
You gotta get a Game Boy printer and print it off on that.
What's funny too is like Nintendo has been, and like everybody does this, but like I remember with Fire Emblem, they had a trailer for the $30 expansion pass before the game was even out.
Right.
So it's like, if you're a diehard, that makes that a $90 game because it's like there's a $30 thing you're also just gonna buy that they're selling before the game is out. I don't know. It's just kind of funny to think about.
Yeah.
Pay
Where
up.
it's like,
This-
yeah, the full cost of this game is actually probably going to be $100.
I think this is what Nintendo has settled on for like post game support. This has kind of been their MO for most first party games, is that it gets some level of like DLC and then they move on. Like Smash has been like, okay, so
Oh, yeah.
Mario Kart is the one now that's the
Live
longest
service
support,
game, baby.
Which is it's virtually
It's
a
their
live
Fortnite.
almost a live service game at this point. But I mean, even with Smash, it's like we had two planned things. They could have kept going. Like, no, we're moving on from that. So it always feels like it's like
Well, they've been releasing games that have been bare bones, then adding DLC
so
too.
some of their games, it's like really
The
annoying
sports
when they do
games.
it, but then they like turn around like, here's some free stuff, and it's like, why wasn't that in the game to begin
right.
with?
Or just
Though?
helped.
Like
Switch
doesn't
Sports or whatever,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. The golf came.
Yeah,
so
the
much
sports
later.
games
yeah
for sure felt like they just weren't done.
So I think that's why they draw some ire from their DLC
Yes.
thing, even though they've been like pretty standardized with it, like, and it's become common and doesn't have as much variable. It's just what you get with that standalone release has just been, hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah, but this is what's weird because, like what you're saying, right? Like a lot of this stuff has been free updates for those games, and even then, like the game's still kind of not that
Yes.
robust.
Or you're waiting
But
forever.
the ones that have the expansion passes that they're selling, like those are already like Fire Emblem's a huge game. You've been
Yeah.
playing that forever.
I know.
Animal
So-
Crossing,
So
what?
Yeah.
that stuff to me is always like extraneous stuff that like you don't even need it. Like
Right.
I feel like for sometimes it is you feel completely satisfied with the game you played. I don't need any DLC. Like actually, I don't feel like I don't think I would be. I'm probably would play it, but like I feel like I'm literally about to finish Fire Emblem Engage. But I feel like I'm satisfied with it enough that like I don't need any more. Like I'm good. We're good. I can move on from this. But at the same time,
You're gonna want that you're gonna play that Zelda DLC though. You know you're going to.
so the Zelda DLC was mostly out of like felt like an obligation that like I need to just like play it because it's like part of Breath of the Wild's content.
Yes.
but not all of it I like enjoyed. It was mostly just the
The extra shrine or a Divine Beast. Dude, the Trial of Master Sword was fun.
I mean,
The
know it's
reward
different.
was so funny though because it's like,
Yeah.
oh cool, a motorcycle that I would have loved if I had it for my playthrough.
exactly.
But
Now you
this
did
is
everything in
the
the
last
game.
thing I've done.
I think it's also a question of timing. Like how long it took for Switch Sports to get whatchamacallit? Golf. It's like that should have been like 1
That
month
should have
max.
been in the game.
It should have been in the game
It
at
should have
first,
been in
but
the
like
game.
it should have been like no more than a month after release.
Yeah.
Some of these updates just take way too long
Yeah,
to
they do,
come
for
out,
sure.
unfortunately.
Like Elden Ring's DLC.
You know what?
Yeah, where
that's
is
fine,
it?
actually.
Just kidding.
That's fine, Brad. I'm
Yeah, let it
okay.
cook.
I'm okay. Let it
cook,
cook. Let
Miyazaki.
that cook.
Let it cook.
Let all
Miyazaki,
three of them
you
cook.
are immune.
What
all
if
criticism.
the Tears of the Kingdom DLC expansion pack says guest designer?
Yes, Hidetaka Miyazaki be like, oh!
He designs like one dungeon or
He
something.
designs like a stick in the game, a stick weapon.
All right, we've got more news to come, but if you've been enjoying the show so far, please take a second to like and subscribe and ring that bell on YouTube. It helps us, and it helps you stay connected. All right, let's get through the rest of this direct. There's a lot of stuff in there. I'm going to run down the list, but we don't need to talk about everything.
Sure,
'cause
sure.
We just
Yeah,
did
yeah,
that
that's
after
fine.
anyways.
Rapid fire.
But there's a couple of ones that I want to highlight, and then if there's anything else when we get to it,
'Kay.
then if you want to speak up. Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
Finally have a date on that guy.
Sick.
Coming
Yeah.
out in July.
Very nice.
Very
I
jolly.
think
Dog-like creature.
Dog-like creature named Ochi.
I love Ochi
Yeah.
so much.
We also got Ice Pikmin.
Yeah.
Very cool. Love
Mistook them for rock for a second.
Yeah.
I've only played Pikmin 3, so I was like, oh, it's a rock.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
And the
ice.
poster, I don't know if you saw the poster, but the rock Pikmin are back, as
Great.
are the purple guys and the white ones.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Like someone who jumped into Pikmin 3, that's all I'm looking for from this was this trailer. It was showing me these really good looking environments, some new mechanics, new Pikmin, just new things, just enough to keep it innovative and, left me pretty satisfied. I know it's like for some people it's hard to get excited about Pikmin, but
Right.
I mean, I'm
I get
good.
that.
I'm good with just more Pikmin at this point.
Yeah, I totally get that because I do really enjoy Pikmin, but yeah, I don't get a buzz out of seeing any Pikmin trailers.
Yeah. Same.
For sure.
Like, I know it'd be a cool game.
Yeah.
You'll probably enjoy it.
Really fun to play, and the fact that it looks so similar to 3's like UI interface, like some
Right.
like refinements here and there, it's like that makes me very like it gives me a welcoming feeling that like I'm not gonna be intimidated. Like I can digest all of this because I think as a newcomer to Pikmin, it could be maybe a little bit overwhelming what you're looking at. Like okay, I'm controlling all these little Pikmin, but what is everything going on here? I guess I can see tossing and stuff, but like, why did they do that? Maybe, and now it's like, oh, I totally get that. Like the meter above them, like, yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, so
This-
the Ice Pikmin can freeze
The
enemies.
ice Pikmin,
Very
and
cute.
it can also freeze part
Love
of the
'em.
environment.
Love 'em.
that is probably like the biggest thing besides the dog. Pikmin dog is the ability to transform like large parts of your environment. Like maybe it's just the ice and that's it.
Revolution.
That's still a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about
That
that.
is nice.
Yeah, and the dog, it seems to have the strength of 10 Pikmin in terms of like grabbing enemies and stuff.
Cool.
But Pikmin can also ride on him.
That
and-
is
Love
such
that.
a big deal
Yeah.
for crossing water because they showed in the trailer because only blue water Pikmin could go through the water. Everyone has to go around it or build a structure. Now they just hop on Ochi or Ochi,
yeah.
and just have them swim you across. Very like and then
Very
looked great.
convenient.
And then the bosses like Pikmin has some horrifying bosses. Yeah, he's like your
The
Pikmin
trailer
die
is,
in
like,
horrifying
terrifying.
ways, and pretty cool looking though.
Yeah. The one thing that I wanted to point out that I really didn't think about before with this trailer is, so in the past, Pikmin have always been sort of like you've been on these kind of abandoned jungle worlds and
Yeah.
stuff, and you will see things that seem like artifacts of mankind, but from they seem to be from the distant past or whatever. But in this game, like it feels like you're in places that are lived in. It feels
Yeah,
like you're
are we in
backyards
Grounded right now?
So I
and
wonder if they're-
parks and stuff like
Do
that.
they call, what's their like real homeworld? That's like or
I don't remember the name of the homeworld
Well, it
off
doesn't
the
even
top
matter
of
the
my head,
name,
but
but like, did they come from a world where there were like human people already, or was like that not their world's just they're the dominant like thing? I don't even remember.
yeah, they're yeah,
I'm curious. It's like a little curious. That's all.
yeah, they're coming from corporations and all
Well,
that kind of
what I'm
stuff,
getting
but
at,
yeah.
like the comparison is like I feel like you go to these like more like insane looking planets, but they're still like foreign looking, kind of like
Apparently, PNF 404, the planet that Olimar lands on in Pikmin 1 and 2, is the natural habitat of Pikmin.
cool,
Right.
I don't know where Olimar is from.
So
Yeah.
what I get is like in like the Alien films, like if they ever went back to like Earth, like that's a huge thing. And,
Right.
like, this is like it looks inhabited by like the humans. Like you're finally in their environment. Like they're all
Hokotata.
there.
Hokotate
Yeah.
is where
Hokotate, yeah.
Hokotate
yeah.
is where Olimar is from.
Cool. So yeah, excited about seeing a world that's lived in actively is what we're getting at. And I'm pretty excited about that because maybe they
Will
show
you
up.
go inside of a house?
Yeah, well, like you can go in a house. Maybe you see the maybe they're not actually humans. They're just like giant, like alien creatures that like they look cool or goofy or something. I don't know. Like that's exciting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, and Pikmin 2 was so funny because they had all the branded stuff, like the Duracell batteries and things. Yeah.
What if you go on a house blood and there's Chibi Robo in the house?
Wow, that would be interesting.
What a crossover.
It'd be
That'd be
interesting.
sick.
Damiani, you had you're
I think it
biting
is
your.
Hokotate.
I don't know. If it's supposed to be pronounced Japanese,
Japanese,
then
yeah.
that's how you would say it. But I don't
Yeah,
know if it's
I mean,
supposed
that's
to be
what it
pronounced
says, yeah.
Japanese.
I'm looking at
manner.
it.
On looking at what?
All the correction people
On
are thinking me right now.
on their the wiki and on the other sources. Not important.
Yeah. Things that Nintendo doesn't have VO for. Who knows?
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC.
All right. Yes. So
He can't admit it.
New hero.
I don't know. I can't confirm
God.
just because it's on a wiki. I don't know.
Oh boy, this is a new segment.
Wikis are true.
CO Blood. All right. The new hero being introduced. Crafting focus. Pretty interesting aspect to go with that. I haven't touched any of the hero stuff. I know they have their own stories as well because I was waiting for pretty much it all to be done, whether to decide. So, okay. I didn't say it during the thing because I thought, I didn't want spoilers. So I'm putting the hands up here. This is everyone's been saying it, but if you've been trying to avoid
audio
it,
listeners cannot see the hands.
the hands are going up. I'm making a clapping noise like
That
this.
does not help.
That means
That doesn't help.
This is not.
Just don't do spoilers, dude.
It's not spoiler. It's
What are we
it's like
spoiling?
surface level stuff at this point. If you haven't played Xenoblade 1 at all or Xenoblade 2 at all, you don't know any of the characters at all, you wouldn't know what this is. But everyone's just saying it at this point, so it's basic stuff. So I'm sorry, you should have played Xenoblade.
Put it in trailer.
You should have played Xenoblade 1 and 2 by now. Is what I'm trying to say, and it's your fault for not playing those. You had every opportunity to play those games by now. So the story DLC shows adult freaking Rex. Old Rex, adult
okay.
that's Rex and old Shulk, older Shulk there together fighting Alvis.
Crazy. Okay.
Big deal.
That's all we need to know.
Big deal. And it's when is this? Where is this? When is this taking place? This is the stuff I wanted to see. This is rewarding the veteran type stuff, and that's why people are investor went nuts about that part because it's holy that I expected to see that in the main game and didn't get it. I'm there we go.
Pay extra for
there
that,
we
baby.
go, baby. I'm ponying up the dough for that because that's worth it.
Yeah, it feels like that's what the pattern has been. The crazy payoffs in these DLCs that they put out.
Yeah, I'm just cool that we're getting that because that was the biggest question after 3 is well, what about all the other characters? What was going on with that? And you don't get that answer. And now this is it. Nintendo's telling you this is it. Big deal.
Sama de Amigo is back.
Yo!
Cool.
Fashion Dreamer, which actually seems to be connected to Style Savvy potentially, which is interesting.
What the hell is Style Savvy?
It's on
DS,
DS, yeah.
Yeah, fashion game.
So a more modern take on that kind of thing.
I'm into
Remember,
it.
Isla, you're most excited for the fashion MMORPG.
Yeah, that's
Remember that one?
right.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called,
don't remember
but I'm very excited for it.
But that's the big one.
Yeah, become a fashion influencer one way or another. Dead Cells Return to Castlevania.
Cool. Looks fun.
Yeah, looks like a really big
Meaty
expansion
DLC
for that, yeah.
expansion.
Tron Identity, which is kind of more
Visual
narrative
novel?
focused game in
It's
Tron
some new
universe.
music for that Castlevania thing, by the way.
Brand new music, or is it just
So extra tracks and then new arrangements or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
about a dozen or so, something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, very cool.
Ghost Trick is back.
Yay! Previously, sorry, it was very expensive. Apparently, the physical copy of it for to get it.
Yeah.
So now this kind of anything that makes games easier to get and cheaper, awesome.
Yep. Deca Police, which I still don't know a lot about, but apparently, as people were
Your
saying,
police in the Matrix.
Infinity
it's from level
Nikki.
5 though.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean much.
It looked like their visual style, and then they flashed the logo up there. So
Yeah.
I'm oh, I didn't know if it was established already or something because they previously worked on Yokai and
Right.
11, and those were established properties. So
They had Ni no Kuni, I guess. 2 of those.
yeah,
Yeah. Bayonetta Origins.
Yep.
So a little bit more of that with basically showing the gameplay with.
Yeah, how it works.
yeah.
combat.
She doesn't fight. The Cheshire fights for you, but you have some.
You
You can hold enemies in place and yeah.
This Splatoon 3 DLC, which I've been talking to people in the community, and it's still weird to me.
This is the best reaction.
The
Blood
Inkopolis
Blood
thing.
just be what is
this?
What's the actual content?
But it seems like potentially they could tie in some of the bigger events and story threads from the past couple of
Okay.
games.
Just the fact that it's paid for it.
Yeah.
This is
For
one
the,
of
paying
those.
for the lobby.
But then
Yeah,
the story
Yeah,
DLC.
the story
is
obviously,
gonna be-
Okay, that look.
Yeah.
that could possibly tie into it as well.
if it's just a lobby blood, that should be a free update 100%.
Right.
But story DLC though. And you said the Splatoon 2's was good, so cool.
Yeah.
I guess the Fantasy Life dev or Fashion Dreamer devs are the Style Savvy
Right.
devs, yeah. And that the MMORPG open world dress up game is called Infinity Nikki.
There you go.
Right.
which I'm sure will be very interesting.
It should just be called Fashion Time.
Yeah.
Disney Illusion Island
Looks fun.
looks really cool.
I forgot, like, it is kind of interesting they're carrying on the Illusion branding, you know, Castle of Illusion and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like, hey,
I don't know if that's meant to come from that or if there's
Yeah.
just something else.
I don't know either, Blood, so it's
'Cause
confusing me.
I want to know, like, Disney Illusion.
Yeah.
if,
Yeah,
lore.
I
wanna
don't know.
the
Because they
Illusion
did
lore.
that remaster of Castle Illusion a
yeah.
while ago. So I have no
I forgot
idea.
that came out.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a while ago.
But yeah, so this is a platformer that looks a lot like a Rayman game.
Yes.
With just like really great
Very
art,
zoomed
Yeah, it
out.
looks
really
very
cool character
jolly.
designs, and just it looks like animated Mickey, Minnie.
Do you think
and
it'll be like
Donald and
level
Goofy.
based or maybe like
Yeah.
Metroidvania?
It'll be level based.
Yeah, you see
Dude,
a lot of wall
Metroidvania
jumping
with
in this
4
game.
players would be insane.
Yeah, but you get like different platforming abilities, so
Yeah.
you can't reach spots. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, Goofy is using mustard to fly right there. So
is
I don't,
like one guide.
this is just great.
Yo,
Everyone's got like their own glide thing. That's cool. Donald was like flapping. Yeah, this looks really jolly, really fun, Blood. I can't wait to play it.
The studio behind it, I was not expecting this group of credits. Delala Studios, creators of the 2020 Battletoads.
Oh.
They've also have people there that worked on Sea of Thieves, The Escapists, and Lost Words Beyond the Page, which was a cool little game.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I like what I see so far of this game.
Yeah. It looks like it'll be a great game to play together.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
July 28th.
Watch out, Pikmin.
The Fire Emblem Engage DLC, as you were mentioning, is coming out right after.
Yeah, I mean, they did do an in-game update. They just added a way to do activities. Remember 3 Houses? Like, you had so many activity points to spend. Like, you could like go clean up a library or go to the stables. They basically added 3 of those that you could do every so often. And
Pool, orchard, and stable.
Yeah, that you could increase your
Management stuff.
social link with any character that's available, and that's really it.
Yeah.
I'll have to wait for my review for the other stuff.
Harmony, The Fall of Reverie, which is from Don't Nod, but a very different style of game. It looks a little bit more visual novel-y or
Yeah,
whatever.
definitely.
But
It seems like their other game is like the main big focus right now.
But I think I want to see more before.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Yeah,
I
of
just don't know
course.
what to make of it yet.
Donut is kind of like, you never know.
Yeah. Octopath Traveler 2.
Yep.
We
Yep.
Love Katamari reroll.
Yeah. I cannot wait to re-roll.
Sea of Stars
Yeah.
got a release
Looking
date,
really good.
August 29th.
Yeah.
And we played that demo yesterday.
Oh, yeah. How was
Yeah,
it?
Blood went through all of it.
How was
Yeah.
it? Was it good?
It's good. It's really
Sick.
cool.
Oh,
They
I love
have
that world map.
They have this spot on the world map where it's like, hey, you can't go into this area in the demo yet, but this is the part that Yasunori Mitsuda scored, so we're going to let you just sit here and listen to the music.
Wow, that's
if you
funny.
want.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, dude. Blood with me getting chained echoes and like this.
Yeah.
Feels good, man.
Yeah. Oh, this fishing mini game was
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, the fishing looked very unique.
Oh man, yeah, the work like the visual work in this game is fantastic.
Yeah. We did a full dungeon. Mm-hmm. So we got a fair amount of the combat in there. So what's interesting is sometimes they have like these meters above that like you kind of have to like break the meter by using different attacks of your different companions. Mm-hmm. And then one of them that they all have like the active kind of like Mario RPG kind of things where like you
Dude,
have to
I
hit
didn't
on
know
the right
they
timing.
had that, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
And so with her boomerang, it's kind of like Mario's jump attack, to where like if you
just
can
time it,
keep
it keeps
timing
going.
it gets faster and
That's
faster and
awesome.
faster.
That's so cool.
And you can keep hitting them. And then there's another mechanic in there where when you hit an enemy and do damage, there's like these little bubbles that pop out, and then you can hold the trigger to like absorb the bubbles and power up your next attack. And it also has these Chrono Trigger like combos to where you can do like dual techs and triple techs.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And
Gotta have it.
you have to, I don't know exactly what causes the meter to build up, but like you have to build up this meter towards like, okay, some cost like 1 diamond, some cost 2 diamonds.
Oh, okay,
some cost 3
depending.
diamonds. So
Got
like,
it. So you can't just do a
It
triple
looked like
tag.
you
Yeah.
attacking was building it up.
Probably
Yeah.
Like landing
tag,
hits.
maybe
But I think
take
sometimes
damage.
when I got hit, it might
It's
have built
probably
up.
I think
both.
when someone
Yeah.
connects,
it's
you
probably
you
both.
take it, yeah. But like misses didn't count.
Cool. Looks awesome. Can't wait to play it. August?
Yeah, August 29th.
Beautiful.
Some interesting like puzzle mechanics in there too.
Cool, great.
In the dungeon that reminded me quite a bit of Golden Sun.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
Very nice.
Omega Strikers, which is like a multiplayer air hockey game.
Yeah, it's hard to... Like, I'm not into that already, but it's hard to get excited with all these live service games getting murdered
Right.
recently.
Etrian Odyssey's getting
Really cool.
Origins Collection.
I'm not going to play these games. These aren't my type of games.
3
But
games.
Really cool for the fans, I bet. Really happy for them.
We got that Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp coming back.
Very cool.
Return to Dreamland Deluxe, Kirby, we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the Game Boy stuff, talked about Metroid. Master Detective Archives Rain Code. And
the
then
anime game.
Baten Kaitos 1 and 2
So
HD
weird.
remaster.
Yeah,
I love
So
it.
weird. It's cool, Blood, but it seems so random for those 2 games to come back.
Soft.
Yeah.
I guess so, Damiani.
They
Yeah.
were Monolith Soft. and
Yeah.
Bandai
I guess
Namco.
so, yeah. Nintendo's like,
capitalized.
yo.
They're really hard to get, so that's a really nice thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's wonderful.
2 is better.
It just
I haven't
surprised me.
played them, but everyone who has says 2 is better than 1. But like, you should definitely
Play 1,
try
story.
1.
Yeah. Yeah, because 2 is really a prequel. It was Baten Kaitos Origins.
And this version's it's only going to be the only Japanese dub. Apparently, no English dub.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
I
Interesting.
saw some people talking about that, but I'm not sure
No
if that's
idea.
true. But people are saying the English dub was really horrible anyway, so you're saving yourself some headache.
Something
apparently.
charming about that, like Shenmue's.
Yeah.
But yeah, very unique characters, very unique world, very, very unique combat system.
Yeah, the card stuff.
We've got a lot of card stuff out nowadays, but it still had crazy stuff. Like somebody
Yeah.
reminded me that like milk turns into cheese, like just all of these
Super
weird
intense, yeah.
things that happen. They said that they've improved the visual quality of the game, especially with like the pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Including the UI and the graphics for the main characters and objects in the field. They've stabilized the frame rate, but it's still only like 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
And then introduce quality of life features such as turning encounters off, auto battling, skipping cutscenes, auto saves, etc.
Battles.
Skipping
People love that.
encounters.
Yeah, people love all
It's
battles.
the number 1 feature. If they reduce Skies over Cadia HD. Turn off those random encounters.
Sure, yeah.
And then a couple more to wrap it up. There's a new Fantasy Life game, The
Mm-hmm.
Girl Who Steals Time.
Sick.
Perfect name
Yeah.
for that kind of game.
Very tight.
Professor Layton is back.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Professor
it's been a
Layton
minute,
himself and
I
the new
think.
world of Steam.
Level 5.
Little peek at the next wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC,
Yoshi's Island, rad track.
Yoshi's
Birdo.
Island, and Birdo,
Birdo and Birdo.
which they
We
say
all
there's going to
thought-
be more characters now.
I know.
for
I
this
mean,
extra
Dominic
bit.
went through the Smash roster and asked me who would be in the game. It was a lot of
I think
options.
they're going to be from past Mario Karts. It's
okay, Blood.
But yeah.
Just
Donkey
I'm telling
Kong
you
Jr.?
now, just wait for that one direct. That 8's is going to turn sideways, as we've all been saying. I've been saying it too. Like, it's going to happen. Mario Kart Infinite. just saying. There's no Mario Kart
Yeah,
9.
dude.
They might show 9, and then they'll fill it in, and it'll be infinite. That will be the troll.
Yeah.
And then our montage had Minecraft Legends, Blanc, the Battle Network Collection,
Mm-hmm.
Mega Man Battle Network Collection, Have a Nice Death, the Power Pros baseball game, which apparently Konami's selling for like $1.
But it's only multiplayer only.
Or something.
And you have to you have to connect. It was like under
It's so
maintenance.
weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's not worth it, apparently.
An update for Disney
Wait,
Dreamlight
it's
Valley.
$1 and it's not worth it?
Because it's like online only matchmaking or something.
Okay.
It doesn't, and servers are bad or
Okay.
something. So
Okay, fair enough.
avoid it, apparently.
And then that Tales of Symphonia Remastered, which is coming soon.
You can avoid that too.
Yeah. And then, before all this happened, before there was even a direct announced, we had Nintendo's financial reports bringing us up to the date, the first 9 months of this fiscal year, so April through December of 2022. Hardware, for those 9 months, 14.91 million Switch sold, which is down 21%. Which they blame partly still on supply shortages.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
things didn't pick up until late summer. But what's interesting is when you split it up, so the base Switch is down. So 5.22 million units versus 11.79 million. But the OLED is up 7.69 million versus 3.99 million. So almost double on OLED. And then a Switch Lite is down but not by much. It's not even doing that great comparatively anyways. 2 million versus 3.17 million.
Yeah.
Our total hardware now, though, we're getting some milestones.
Yeah.
122.55 million units.
Crazy.
So it's now sold Game Boy, including Game Boy Color, which was at 118, and it's outsold the PS4, which is at 117. Still lofty up there.
PS2?
DS is 154, PS2 is 155.
Jeez. Juggernauts. Do you have the PlayStation numbers they released? I think they did some recently.
The recent ones, I don't. I want to say it's like 32 million.
Yeah,
PS5s.
something like that. Yeah, something like that.
And then people are saying that like the last couple of weeks of stock is like clearly increased because the sales have jumped up a lot. Yeah.
I saw something. Someone said it sold the most in Japan since it first released or something. So.
Yeah, and Japan does a weekly sale.
Yeah, it's
people
like
want
90,000 or
Final
something.
Fantasy 16's coming so that people are scrambling.
They're scrambling. They're fulfilling those. They're fulfilling their obligation.
And I
there.
feel like Japan has had it even harder than the rest of the world in terms of stock.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they said they cleared 30 million on the PS5, I guess.
Got it. And then regarding, somebody was asking about price drops. President Shintaro Furukawa, regarding the Nintendo Switch pricing strategy, we have done our best to maintain both its value and price of hardware and software in our long-term business strategy. We do not believe that any changes to this policy are necessary at this stage.
I'm really surprised.
not.
So the one thing I'm surprised about,
$70.
yeah, I'm surprised that Switch Lite is not getting a price cut.
Well,
Because
with
it's
chip shortages and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if they got more expensive.
Oh, I mean, I think the base and OLED model could, but like it sounds like they're not, selling as much of the Switch Lites, and maybe they want to start clearing out any of that excess inventory. Maybe that one could take a price cut, but yeah, at least it hasn't had a raise in price, but also, I mean, it's unique circumstances, but man, like every Nintendo system like has eventually gotten like a price cut before the next platform came out, and it's a little weird.
Yeah. And I think about like the Wii, it's like that kind of like died or like went down like in the last year or two. It didn't seem to be doing as well, but like Switch is still doing just fine.
Yeah. The Game Boy and the DS are like the only things that have lasted this long.
Yeah.
Does this mean that video gaming peaked in the PS2 era?
Well,
most consoles.
The DVD player helped a lot with
the DVD
PS2.
player helped a lot for
you're
sure.
right. You're totally. That was the first DVD player I ever had.
Because it was like one of the cheapest ones or something like that.
Yeah.
And it got really significant price drops, and it had a really long life. They were still selling Madden on that thing forever.
And just like incredibly good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things too is the PS3 was so expensive that people were just like, I'll get them a PS2 for Christmas instead.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cheap now.
Yeah.
Software side, there's an interesting dynamic here. So down 4% year on year, 172.11 million units sold. I think that includes third party because they say that unit sales of first party software continue to be at the highest level seen since the launch of the Switch.
Wow.
They are now at a total of 994.3 million copies of software since launch.
Wow, almost 1 billion.
More than any other Nintendo platform.
Wow.
The DS was 948.7 million. And then we get into some of the numbers on these guys. So I'll get the new guys in here first, and then we'll go through the top 10. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, 20.61 million copies since launch.
God.
Splatoon 3, half of that, 10.13 million.
Dude, insane.
Switch Sports, 8.61 million.
God.
Yeah, that one's.
You fools.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's a good party game.
Maybe now it is because there's more games in it.
Bowling. I always go to bed for bowling. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, another 6.3 million units.
Keep it
The
up.
easiest game to recommend to anyone getting this.
Bringing it to 52 million.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that is insane.
Gotta keep going for that 100 million, baby.
What's GTA 5 at, I wonder?
Probably much
I'll
more.
look.
Yeah. And so now the best-selling of all time Switch games as of December 31st, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 52 million. Mm-hmm. Animal Crossing, way behind at 41.59 million.
Still
behind.
insane
That's
for
41.
Animal Crossing, dude.
Yeah. Another big drop, Smash Brothers, 30.44 million. Right on its tail, Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
29 million. Pokemon Sword and Shield, 25 million.
That is disgusting.
Mario Odyssey, a little bit less, also 25 million.
I have the figure for Do you want to guess GTA 5?
It's probably
Like 80 or
Yeah, I was gonna say 80
over
or
100 million.
Yeah. What is it?
Damiani's close is 175 million.
Wow. I know it's on many platforms, but it's just insane still.
Wow. But yeah, so we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on this list. All-time best-selling Switch games. Right after Mario Odyssey, which was 25.12 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
There you go.
20.61 million. Just destroying.
GTA 5 is the second highest selling game of all time.
Yeah, I mean, at that number, it should be.
Yeah, Minecraft is.
I was gonna say it's
is
probably
top,
Minecraft. Yeah.
238 million.
Wow.
Tetris third. All right, 100 million.
Yeah. Tetris, yeah. Super Mario Party, 18.79 million.
Wow.
Ring Fit Adventure,
Yeah.
15.22 million.
All those people are like, I'm gonna work out now. And they're done after a week.
Listen.
Oh.
Hope isn't.
We got some evidence in here.
Opium.
Yeah.
People
Hope
swear
is
by
a
that game.
disease.
Yeah.
I'm sure it kicks your butt. Yeah, definitely.
People got hooked on that for sure. And then 10th place, Pokemon Let's Go,
Dude, so many Pokemon
15.07
games.
million.
Pikachu, Eevee. Look at Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
And then Switch Online revenue, 21% increase. Switch Online
They've been adding more
over
stuff.
the previous year.
More reasons to have it now.
Yeah. And then from January to December of last year, they estimate 112 million annual playing users.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
They're probably looking at like multiple accounts for
Yeah,
Switch
definitely.
and all that kind of
Definitely, yeah.
Whenever we do-
101.
Whenever we do stuff like this, I'm always just kind of like, man, I wish I owned Nintendo.
Yeah, same.
And then it was sort of separate from this news. It came like I want to say in like the Q&A after, or maybe like the day later. Nintendo is planning to raise base salaries of its workers in Japan by 10%, which follows other publishers like Capcom, and it's partly due to the urging of the Prime Minister to keep pace with inflation.
Yep. Could use that here, too.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com/easyallies if you want to raise.
Well, I meant Nintendo.
Don't get paid. They're going to share some of the wealth.
Yeah.
But yes, please do adjust our pay based on inflation, everybody. Patreon.com/easyallies.
Also this week, fun one for Isla, Minecraft and Crocs
Yeah.
have a crossover that she and Gabby were very excited about this morning.
Yeah, well, you know.
On February 16th, Minecraft fans can shop the limited edition collection of Crocs with prices ranging from $17 to $65. There are also, you can see them in the photo if you're on the video version.
Gabby wants to review the Croc.
Yes. There are Minecraft charms
He said yes.
that can be added to any Crocs.
Yeah, I think they've had those for
Yeah,
Crocs
Croc
already,
charms
yeah.
are a thing. Big thing.
And in-game Crocs are coming to Minecraft. You can just
Wait, you even have like feet in Minecraft, right? Or do you have, I don't know.
I mean, they look about as good as real life Crocs.
But yeah, I think those are just freely available to download too.
Great. Very cool.
Yeah, Gabby wants the codes for the Crocs.
Yeah, I want Crocs too. Send them over, bud.
One of the latest twists in the Microsoft Activision merger is that UK authorities have come out this week suggesting that to make the deal easier to approve, that Activision just spin off Call of Duty into a separate company, and then Microsoft can buy what's left of Activision.
That is the reason they're buying this. That is so funny. I love that, dude. Wow.
It's almost as though
How
like
bad do
It's
you
forcing
want?
them to tell the truth. It's like, just be
That
honest.
is why they want this. That is what Sony has been talking about with everything has been Call of Duty. No one gives a shit about anything else. It's just Call of Duty.
They also continue to be very skeptical about Microsoft's multi-platform promises in the long run, as they've done their own number crunching and say that they would benefit eventually from exclusivities.
Yeah.
They're saying that they did surveys and like 24% or something of PlayStation users users said that they would jump ship.
Yeah.
If
Game Pass.
Xbox got that exclusive. But despite that very strongly worded statement, contrary to how that might sound, Wedbush analysts Nick McKay and our friend Michael Pachter say that move suggests the merger is close to approval.
Could be, yeah.
Because it's all negotiations. So they're going to say this. Microsoft is going to say, well, here's what we will do, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so they think this is all going to close out in
Maybe.
mid-May
Wow.
is what they estimate.
Maybe.
They don't want to play Zelda in time.
Yeah. Come on, let's wrap this up.
Yeah. In other Activision news, stories that have been going on even longer than that story, they have reached a $35 million settlement with the SEC over workplace misconduct issues. A lot of that had to do with how they were tracking those complaints and how that was getting passed on to investors so that investors knew the amount of risk that they were taking on by the behavior happening behind closed doors. Velen Studios, who used to work for Activision, or the founders did at least, makers of Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, are introducing Hot Wheels Rift Rally, which similarly uses a remote control car with a camera on it and course markers to drive around your living room. There's some new features in there, like being able to like customize your Hot Wheel or whatever what shows up on the screen. But it very much just looks like a sequel to that Mario Kart game, which Isla played a while back. And that is coming March 14th for iOS and PlayStation for $130, including the car. Take-Two, I love this. Take-Two admitted that the release window may have contributed to Midnight Sun's
you don't think?
slow start.
Wow.
Really?
But they are optimistic that it will have legs like other Firaxis games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I only played a little bit. It seemed good.
yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, like a lot of people are getting hyped for those characters, you know?
Sure.
It's not like the big Marvel boys.
I also think, as we pointed out time and time again last year, it was a heavy year for strategy games.
It was. I played like 3 of them.
Yeah. And there were so many more.
Yeah. There's so many.
So I really feel like, it was a tough year for any strategy game, even a Marvel strategy game.
Yes. So hopefully it does well.
Capcom teased Resident Evil Death Island, a new CG animated film coming this summer,
Starring.
Leon.
Chris.
Starring.
Well, who is it starring? Tell me.
Jill Valentine.
It's not
Jill
just her star. It's
Jill. Yeah.
she's in it.
Hey, everyone's shouting Jill on social media.
Well, 'cause she's been gone.
I'm doing the Huber voice here. Jill's back.
It's nice to see Jill again. She's been gone since like 5 in Revelations or whatever. It's been a
Bringing
long
Jill
time.
back.
It's great. I love it. I love Jill Valentine. One of the OGs.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no reference for the past movies or whatever, but this trailer looks bad.
I mean, these movies aren't good.
No, okay, this is me speaking. None of those CG movies are
Yeah,
good. They all
yeah, no.
suck.
That's what I thought.
They're
And
terrible.
Mike told me the show sucked. So most Resident Evil things
They're
that aren't
so
the games
bad.
suck.
It's called Death Island, isn't it? Like that's like Scooby Doo shit.
Yeah.
Or Dead Island. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead Island mistaken.
I want us all to start prefacing when we speak by saying, "This is me speaking."
This is me.
This is me speaking. I want us all to say, "This is me speaking."
Yeah. Getting water everywhere. Even though Huber's not here, for Huber, Darkest Dungeon 2
There you go.
releases into 1.0
Definitely want to play this.
May 8th.
Maith.
Finally.
Isla, remember Ken Levine showing off that new game Judas at the Game Awards 2022?
Vaguely.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember.
Creator of BioShock.
Yes.
Hype new game.
Oh, that Ken Levine.
What happened?
Yeah. It's expected to hit by March 2025.
Dude, I heard this and I was like, oh boy.
Ah, there we go.
I was, you know what I thought of? I thought of BioShock Infinite when they like first revealed that game. Then we got it several
What are
years
these
later.
People gonna learn, man. I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Keely's like, yo, man, you got the scoops.
Yeah.
So,
Don't know.
sure.
Something that's not going to be holding out till 2025. On the 25th anniversary of the Atelier series, the original game's getting a remake.
Whoa. Okay.
Atelier Marie Remake, The Alchemist of Salzburg, comes out this summer for PC, PS4, PS5, and Switch.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And I know that because Community Showcase brought it up.
Oh.
Remember,
Nice.
Isla?
Yes.
The
Atelier.
Atelier.
The first winner of the Grammys new video game category, real category now, went to Stephanie Economo, which I may be mispronouncing, for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dawn of Ragnarok.
Oh, the DLC. I was like, that game came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a weird mixed bag of nominees, but I know like
They don't understand.
Grammys have their whole process of people got to submit and all that stuff, and so it'll probably take a few years to work itself out.
Yeah.
But
Or a decade.
it exists.
Yeah.
There is an awards category finally.
Cool.
And speaking of awards, head of Double Fine Tim Schafer is getting inducted into the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame
Nice.
during
Yeah.
this year's DICE Awards.
Definitely. Cool. Congrats, dude.
It's time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
From Matt Murdock. Ahoy, allies! With the upcoming release of Octopath
The
Traveler
lawyer?
2,
Ahoy.
I thought again about why I didn't play the first one. I bought it and played a few hours, then I realized quickly something was off. I was witnessing the largest criticism of the game at the time, that the party doesn't interact with each other. They're just bystanders in one another's stories. While each character has amazing character arcs, I can't help but feel there would have been a beautiful story when they were all woven together. I stuck to my opinions to this day and still haven't finished Octopath Traveler 1, but I also can't help but feel like I missed out on a great RPG because of my stubbornness. The upcoming sequel seems like it will follow suit. My question is, how important is the writing and interaction between characters to you? And bonus question, what has been everybody's most memorable group of characters they have journeyed with?
I mean, I guess in the story sense, it just depends if the most interesting thing about the game is the story, it needs to be good. But if there's other elements to keep me interested in it, like the gameplay, then it's not as important to me. But I mean, I quit Octopath too because the story was just like whatever for me. Wasn't
Right.
super into it.
Yeah, I've heard the same complaints about 1. To just address that, and having played through 2 a little bit, the individual stories feel really good. But if they don't come, like my question is, how is this all going to come together? And if it
Right.
doesn't really, then it almost like this should have just been a collection of 8 stories then, and they shouldn't even try and intertwine them, I guess, or something like that. So that's, yeah, hopefully they address
Hopefully they
that.
listen to that and they
Yeah,
address it.
don't know yet, obviously.
Very hard to answer something about late game, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the first big game where like the characters like coming together, like it didn't feel like a team, was like, for me it's Final Fantasy X.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, being the theme, the story being a pilgrimage, you're fish out of water, and then you're getting to know all these people, and they already know each other. You're kind of like trying to warm up to them. It was really good because like it was just very character focused. Yes, there was like a larger like world setting in the background, like the sin and everything, and would show up every so often to remind you. But it felt so. The pacing of it was really good. It just took you its time, letting you get to enjoy this world, and I really appreciated that so much. Obviously, it's been done better in the time since, but yeah, that was like the first time, and like that helped so much with that cast. Like I just like it really resonated, even though like other characters might be more iconic from other even Final Fantasy entries.
Right.
But to me, like in terms of like their characters, I just like really still like that group.
Suikoden.
I got like 3.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7, obviously. Dragon Quest 8. Love that party.
Yep.
Big time. And Kingdom Hearts, baby. Got Donald Goofy with you? Hell yes. Donald Goofy Sora? Love it.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it, like, because, Damiani talking about some of the earliest ones. I mean, Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah,
For
totally.
sure. But then also, it really made me realize that, like, Dragon Quest IV is kind of like what your ideal of Octopath is. Because Dragon Quest IV, you play through in chapters. So you go through and you, like, meet each of these characters in their individual chapters. And then after you've met everyone, then the hero gets introduced and brings the whole
That's
caravan
cool.
together.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you travel together. So yeah.
Oh my God. Mass Effect 2, dude.
Yeah.
Mass
yeah,
Effect
Mass Effect,
2.
definitely.
Like character bonds
That's that whole game too, yeah.
times infinity. Yeah. And my girlfriend at the time was the one who introduced Mass Effect to me. So I was like bonding with her while bonding with Rex, you know?
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, loyalty missions.
Yeah. Ugh.
From Thief. Hey, allies. Longtime listener, first-time caller. With the recent Xbox Direct presentation, it seems like every major publisher has now adopted the format Nintendo pioneered more than a decade ago. But where do they go from here? What do you think the next evolution in game announcements will be? Damiani was just talking about this before.
Musical.
It was sponsored by a game industry W's article.
Press conferences in the metaverse? Trailers dropped as NFTs?
Stop.
I'd love to personally see more interactive virtual show floor type experiences, similar to what Devolver has done in previous years.
Oh, man, yeah.
Any
Those
other
are funny.
ideas? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the virtual
Yeah.
booth. Yeah.
Puppet show, dude.
There
the
have
year.
been some, actually.
Yeah, bring it. But, like, that's what everyone does, you know? Not just one bit. Whole thing.
Yeah, that year where they like actually were in basically the LA Convention Center and had booths and everything laid out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That was crazy.
that is crazy.
But yeah, Damiani, you were reading an
Yeah.
opinion piece
Well, they
about
didn't
that.
offer any like
Right.
examples. Was the
Well,
whole
yeah,
thing.
what is the suggestions? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know other than, I mean, during the pandemic, Nintendo kind of did change a little bit. They went more to like very short lead times of here's a trailer on social media. Just give out that trailer on social media, give a date, and then maybe you got like piecemeal kind of like focused little short videos on here's like this mechanic or here's like a story synopsis or something like that, and just did it that way. They didn't even have like a focused direct for a lot of that stuff. They just like kind of like went out and did that a little bit differently. I don't think that was as effective though, so I think
Right.
that's why they really went right back to directs. I don't know, like we were talking about a little bit, like you're saying to me beforehand about the losing Outta, that maybe some of the innovation and creativity behind directs has kind of been diminished with the kind of modern direction of the Nintendo Direct formula. And I kind of agree. Like I kind of miss a little bit more like the entertainment value, like whether it's like a
Right.
sketch mixed in between, or maybe doing like a nice like little like color piece before where they like will show like the developer like in a setting just like talking about it.
Or like, you know, even going back to that the old VHS tapes, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Because they had some really goofy stuff.
They sure did.
Absolutely wild, crazy
So what you're
stuff.
saying is they just
But you also got that sort of like, you know, pull the curtain back, look inside Nintendo a little bit.
okay.
And now we just get a guy in front of a green screen.
Yeah,
Which
they're-
it's like, yeah, you're a guy at Nintendo and you're talking to us a little bit, but you're not.
I think their corporate
really giving that
culture has
vibe.
become so secretive that we're never going to go back to that, and I lament that. Like they're never going to give you like inside looks at their like studios or anything like that anymore.
Right, but even like when you're
Yeah.
like you were in like Reggie's office or a boardroom or
Yeah.
stuff like that, you know.
I mean, I like putting faces to the people who work on games, and I think Nintendo in particular does one of the worst jobs with that in a lot of regards. Obviously, there's big names that you can recognize, like you have the Sakurai, you have the Miyamoto, you have the Koizumi, but even as simple as like the Metroid Prime remaster. Who worked? Can you just give shout out? Like, you know, thanks to our
Someone
thanks to
from
Retro
Retro.
Studios or
Right.
something like for
Yeah,
bringing
it's
this. They don't even like they
Michael
don't-
Kilball, I think.
it's just a little
Yeah.
strange that they don't like do that. Maybe not strange. It's just like disappointing is the better word to pick here. That they're very disappointed they don't do stuff like that anymore. And the secretive thing is like we just don't get in the post Iwata era those like kind of behind the curtains look. We don't get the Iwata ask. We don't get stuff like that. And it's unfortunate because like we see other companies do slightly better job of that, to much better to. What Digital Eclipse just did with the re-release of Atari 50
Right.
and Cowabunga Collection, with like celebrating the history of that. Like, imagine like Nintendo giving any kind of like access to stuff like that. Like, no, they like maybe they'll sell it to you for like those books they do for like the Zelda anniversary. It was like probably one of the like rare times they gave a little
Yeah.
bit of insight, but generally they don't show design documents, stuff like that. They just are so secretive.
Yeah. No, that's one of the things that I did appreciate with Microsoft's Direct, is that they did bring you into the studios. You had the leads in those teams talk to you about their games, and they did it in a way that was like, yeah, it wasn't being goofy, it wasn't trying to be hip, it wasn't trying to like over explain things. It just like they got that rhythm of it right to me in a way to where like, you know, even the games that I thought I wouldn't be interested in, it was like, oh, you know, you guys are actually selling me on this in an authentic way. And so it's interesting that they managed to finally hit that rhythm when so many of the things in the past have not been that way.
Yeah.
Whereas like even Treehouse Live is like, okay, that's a nice long extended demo, but it's a long-winded thing for the people that are very specifically interested in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I lament that loss. I was thinking again about the VHS subs because I forgot like how cool that moment was of going to see Ken Lobb talking about the soundtrack to Donkey Kong. Like that moment, it's like just seeing that like as a kid was like, whoa, what am I even looking at? Like, what is this like? Well, that's how they record everything there, and that's how they're doing the mixing and like him just jamming to it. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, you know, and obviously not saying every developer needs to be happy and like show my camera happy and like they're like, you know, great. Sometimes the working environment isn't great, but like when they are passionate about it, you know, like maybe let them talk about it and like let their personality come through. Like it just makes it feel a little bit more authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think, I think what really worked for both is having stuff to play right then.
Yeah.
Having those demo drops is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sort of along those lines, I think the future of game announcements, they'll take a page out of Apple and U2's book where they will just secretly download an entire game onto your console without telling you. And then when you notice it, you're like, oh, what is this? And then you have to pay to either play it or remove it. Can't delete it unless you pay a fee.
Put U2 albums on your consoles.
Yeah, and it comes with a U2 album. Yeah.
Switch to a
You're
launch
like,
with
damn it.
U2's
Come
new
on,
album.
Bono.
There's a virus on my PS5 and its name is Bono.
From Niccolo Alessandro Manahan. Hi, allies. Have you ever had a brief break in reality because of a game or gaming habits?
Yes.
I thought of this after spending hours trying to master Hi-Fi Rush, which resulted in me being very sensitive to the beat of background noises like signal lights. But this reminded me of a particular time in high school when I would dedicate all my hours, waking and non-waking, to the original XCOM. It got so bad that one time in school I was amazed that the other students were able to walk around campus without using up all their movement points.
Oh my God.
And ending their turn. I was able to realize right away that my mind was in another reality, but it just felt so real. Just curious if you ever got so immersed in a game that affected your perception of reality.
I guess I would just like think about things from the game while I'm out in the world. But
Yeah.
I don't know about like necessarily like, you know, movement points or something like that. I'm not thinking about that much.
A friend of mine in college, and this has happened to me too. But like, I think I might have mentioned this before. But I remember my roommate at the time. He said that he needed to stop playing Oblivion because he legitimately saw a woman on the bus and thought to himself, they could have done a better job on the shadows. And then he was like, wait. But for me, like, this happens to be a lot. Like, my tenuous relationship with reality anyway. But like the biggest example was The Witness had me seeing line puzzles everywhere. Like natural line puzzles all over the place. But yeah, I mean, everybody looks like an NPC fake person to me anyway. So yeah, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I did think about like Assassin's Creed sometimes.
Yeah, that was my...
Thinking about, like,
you guys
climbing
got both
something.
of the ones I was thinking of, yeah.
That's about it, I think.
Assassin's Creed
Walls
looking at
and
buildings
stuff.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, chat's talking about horror games too. Like, yeah, that'll definitely like. It feels like the volume is turned up on every little noise in my house after I play a horror game.
I like that thing with the 3DS playing it too long, like start seeing like text in 3D or something that's not in 3D, like on a monitor. But so like it's not just like psychological. I mean, I guess it is still, but like it's like seems like it's actually real. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? And I used to joke like as a kid, like with N64, whenever we get like really foggy out where I was living in Texas, it'd be like, oh yeah, the world's running out of memory right now. You can use some more RAM right now.
What a nerd.
Yeah.
That Japanese dude says social links, which is like kind of true because sometimes I think of my friendships where I'm like,
Wow.
all right, gotta reach out to Jason today. Gotta maintain that social link before it starts to degrade. You
That's
know.
hilarious. Oh, boy. Yeah, and then there's just like the things that are, like the literal Tetris effect of just seeing the thing after you close your eyes. or whatever.
Oh yeah, Guitar Hero and everything.
Vampire Survivors is one of those.
Yeah,
too,
oh
yeah.
my God. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely Vampire Stars. I told Huber about that when I closed my eyes. Like, oh, I see the rupees, the coins.
Well, and your vision, like,
yeah, they're everywhere. I'm just seeing them when I close my eyes now.
So funny.
and if you're using a rotating weapon, like your vision
Yeah.
will have the like whirlpool in it.
All right, it's time for bets. This week's bet. Wanted Dead is out next week. If you do not know what that game is, you don't remember it, that's fine. It's an action game, kind of low budget looking, kind of crazy looking, coming from some former Ninja Gaiden devs. It's got guns, it's got swords, it's got blood, it's got mini games where you eat ramen.
You're in it?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to pop that game open, and we're going to see how long will that opening cutscene be. Brad.
3 minutes.
3 minutes even. Damiani.
Oh no, man. I think our social link is max, our psychological link.
Oh,
plus
damn
three-
it.
3 minutes.
Even?
Damn
oh
it.
boy. Isla.
Straight to the action, baby. 36 seconds.
36 seconds.
Quick. It's pretty quick. It's pretty short.
This blood got blood's the one that makes me nervous.
Not counting loads.
No!
right?
Over 312.
No! Inside job.
I was hoping it like open with some band playing a song or something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that could happen.
Won't it? Won't it? It already.
Yeah, that would be funny if they brought that in there. Last week's bet, Steam Next Fest is this week. You guys just checked out a bunch of demos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many of those games are still a ways off. I went to the Steam Next Fest page and clicked on the 8th game in their list of featured titles. And last week I had asked the panel how long the trailer would be on that game's store page.
Wouldn't that list be variable based on who's clicking? I mean, I guess
just
it's you said
whatever
you
blood
would do
did.
it. Yeah.
It's
That's
whatever.
based on
Yeah,
blood.
it's the list.
Yeah, blood's
It's
list.
the list that was there.
Blood
I'll go
list.
through that in the answer. We'll get to it. Brad bet that the trailer would be 150. Huber bet that it would be 120. Damiani said it would be as long as the Tears of the Kingdom trailer next week,
Oh, you made it complicated.
which ended up being 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yeah.
Don bet 1:35, and I bet 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So, the default list, when I scrolled down and after going on the page, was popular upcoming. The 8th game on that list at 10:45 this morning was Wandering Sword, a Chinese martial arts
Yeah.
RPG where you play a young swordsman caught up in a feud and nearly die. Escaping the event puts you on the path of pursuing the highest form of martial arts and exploring the pugilistic world to become the great hero you are always destined to be. You guys played it?
Yes.
Yeah, we played the demo.
Nice. Sounded like a Huber game.
Yeah, it's like ancient China. Big time. It's like a HD 2D
A monk
looking
from
game.
China, yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
how is this not a Square Enix game? I saw it visually.
Isn't pugilism just having to do with fist fighting?
Don't know.
My reference for that is Final Fantasy games. So
I know.
They were only using
I think it's of
fists.
fit.
I saw.
I have no
Oh,
idea.
okay.
You played
It's
it.
just called. It's funny because it's called Wandering Sword. So I was just.
Well, yeah,
wondering.
that is funny. Anyways,
Yeah.
in any case, the trailer for Wandering Sword is 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Wow.
Don
Whoa.
was off by 2.
Wow.
Whoa.
Right on there.
Wow.
Bringing the scores to Garrulous Ducks 4. Quack, 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 quack.
I forgot he was on our team. I was like pissed for a second. I was like, no weird wild cards.
And Sleepy Grizzlies 1. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. We are supported in many ways, but primarily we're supported by the people who watch and listen to our content. And I really do believe in that. I believe that the people who are most invested in our content are the best way to get our content out there and keep it going and keep it rolling. It's kind of like a magazine subscription. You know, you want that magazine and you pay for it. The difference is for us, it's voluntary. So If you can't pay for it, then somebody else is there to kind of pick up your tab. But if you are able and you enjoy what we do, head over to Patreon. You can also sub on Twitch. You can also hit that little donate link that is under the Twitch page or the YouTube video. But the most effective way is Patreon, and we've got all kinds of different rewards there. Some that I don't bring up too much, but I should. We've got these higher end tiers, if you are able, to where you can request a personal message that we read out, and I'll send you the details on that if you get on that tier. And then we also have some patron sponsor slots for stuff like reaction shots and frame trap.
Yeah, I want to read your ads.
Yeah. So if you've got like a small business or whatever, and you want to get in on that, get in on that. And you can also get on those lower tiers and help us out there as well. If you become a patron at any level, you get an ad-free version of this podcast with 2 extra love and respect questions, which we shoot after the live stream. And if you get on that $5 level, you get early access to this podcast. You get to submit to Love and Respect. You get extended cuts of some of our shows. And you get in that Discord where you can be part of all kinds of different little activities and polls and things that they do there, as well as put in news tips, discuss the news as it's happening, put up photos of food, talk about movies, all kinds of fun stuff happening in the Discord. And up in those upper tiers, we also have our shout-out tiers, and this month's shout-outs go to Javawebs, Elf Venice, Greg, The Dark Knight Kettering, Raymond Wheeler III, and Zio VGM. Shout out.
Shout out. Also, we have a survey going right now.
Yeah, you don't have to be a patron. You can get in that survey.
Anybody can do public survey information. It's going to help us plan. It's toward the end of the life cycle of the survey because we have a meeting coming up here in a few days where we're going to look at the information. But all information is good. So check our Twitter, check our Patreon, find that link, and take the survey. Thank you.
Yeah. And then one more reminder that next week's podcast is going to come a little bit later for the Twitch stream and the early access. We'll be recording that on Friday. So just keep an eye out for when it comes. Sunday, it's still going to go up at the normal time. So Dawn won that bet. So Isla, you and I have to split the duties. I don't know if you've got any kind of final word or anything, or if you want to sign off or video. It's
I
a
like
lot of
doing
videos.
the sign off.
Yeah, sign off's good.
Yeah.
You want me to do the other 2 then?
Sure.
All right. Video, like I said, it's a lot. Go check out the page for all of them. The one I want to promote right now, though, because I think it got a little missed with all of the Nintendo Direct stuff. I did a preview with Isla on Pacific Drive.
Game looks sick.
Yeah, very cool looking first-person driving survival game. Going out there, checking out weird anomalies in this car that like might be haunted or something. I don't know what's going on with the car itself. But you go out there, you get resources, you build up your car. Check out the whole preview. There's a lot more details there. And then for final word, Nintendo, instruction booklets, please. Put them in there. We've got this nice service. Just give us the way to play.
Good night and good game. Hokotate.
I don't know.